The consciousness of wisdom emerged from the chaos, as if it was swallowed by a group of sticky darkness. She felt her head dizzy, and her ears were filled with metal-twisted sorrow and dramatic shock. Space car. Yes, she remembered it. She was the maintenance engineer of the trail station. When the sudden darkness swallowed the Earth, she was trapped in this dead body. The alarm was still in the brain. Emergency retardation procedure is activated. Target, the nearest land coordinates. Now, everything is static. Only the heart beats like a drum and the chest hurts. She opened her eyes slowly, surrounded by oblique walls, and the shattered light of the tilted surface flashed with faint red light. The door twists and turns, and a pungent decay smell surges in the gap, scattering the mud and bloody breath. What is outside? Yinghui, report your status. She murmured, trying to calm herself with a familiar program. He reached to the console and felt a slime-like slag. Outside the body, the wind was buzzing, like the roar of a wild beast. Suddenly, a sharp roar tore through the night, making her look so close that she was tired. That's not the wind, it's a living thing, a dead, thirsty thing. Eternal night. News reported at the last moment before the collapse, the sun disappeared and the entire Earth was in shady shadows. Scientists say it is magnetic storm or alien interference, but no one knows the truth. There is only panic, and the monsters crawling out of the darkness. Yinghui got up, and her knees hit the scattered toolbox, and the pain made her awake a little. She stumbled into the cracks in the door, and through the narrow vision, it was absolutely pitch black outside. Only scattered flashings broke through the sky and illuminated the silhouette of the wilderness. Twisted trees stood like dead bones, the ground was covered with cracks, like the earth tearing apart in pain. Another roar, this time closer. Jinghui's heart was beating wildly, and she took a step back and leaned against the wall. Resources are scarce, and the air begins to become thinner. The oxygen circulation system in the tank is damaged during the emergency landing. She felt like her lungs were burned by fire, and her throat was so dry that it could not sound. Isolation and helpless, is this her doomsday? An iron coffin that fell from the sky was buried in this eternal wasteland? No, I can't just wait for death. She gritted her teeth, her brain flashing her mouth, evaluation, activation, survival. Fingers shook and opened the hidden panel under the console, where was the module for spacecraft, a prototype system she had never started. It is said to be a military test product, used for wind control of underground masks, but why is it installed in the stairs? No time to think about it. She pressed the switch. A low buzzing sounded, and the panel lighted up with blue light. There was a clear air flowing in the air, like spring breeze blowing on the face, dissipating the decay smell. System starts. Scan the subject, slim and wisdom. Life image is stable. In environmental analysis. A gentle sound of mechanical sound is rumbling in the shaft, like an old friend's whisper. Yinghui was stunned. You, who are you? Masking the wind system, the number, Guardian. Verification confirms, smart, full rights open. Current status, 67% corrosion rate of loading, 95% external gas pollution index, less than 20% oxygen content. Start the purification mode. The blue light swept across the roll, and every corner seemed to be cleaned by an invisible brush. Yinghui took a deep breath, and the fresh air penetrated into her lungs, and her head was instantly relieved. She felt a warm current coming from the panel, and the system's touch-like sensor stretched out to repair tiny cracks. External threat detection, 3 small anomalies are close to each other, 50 meters away. Predicted intrusion time, 2 minutes. Suggestion, activate the defense agreement. Anomaly? The heart of Yinghui was raised to his throat. She glanced at the door, and the roar became increasingly dense, like a group of hungry wolves surrounding them. How to defend? This body is about to fall apart. Generate a simple barrier. Energy source, in-carrying fuel. Efficiency, 85%. Run. The system's sound was smooth and it brought the confidence of a piece of machinery. Perform. Quick. Yinghui shouted, his voice rumbling in the narrow wheel. She grabbed a scattered screw knife and held it tightly in her hand, like holding the last life-saving straw. As the buzzer was added, a translucent energy field rose from the surroundings of the door, like a thin blue fog, sealing the crack. Outside, 3 shadows of snatching shadows flashed in the darkness, those strange animals, like twisted dogs, skin covered with fiery black rays, and eyes emitting red light. They slid towards the wheel, and their claws scraped against the metal, making a harsh friction sound. Crisis warning, the first anomaly hits the back of 10 seconds. It is recommended to set up a trap, use the outer slaughter of the carriage as a snail to combine the electromagnetic slug. The sound of the system is like a battle commander, precise and quiet. The slim brain moves rapidly. She kicked open the bin inside the carriage, pulled out a cracked cable, and connected it to the system port. What's the matter? Tell me. Interface A7, inject energy. Pulse strength, intermediate. Target, entangled neural system. The system responded, and the blue light flashed, guiding her movements. She climbed to the door, and through the gaps of the barrier, she threw the cable out and scattered on a nearby block of raised metal fragments. It was a wall slam that flew during a forced landing, emitting a faint metallic light, enough to attract those bloodthirsty things. Her heart beats like thunder, she retreats and holds the screw knife. Come on, you monsters. The first anomaly came and hit the barrier, and the energy field buzzed and buzzed. It opened its mouth full of sharp teeth, and its roar made the eardrum hurt. The other 2 kept up, digging the ground with their paws, and the soil flew. The second one roamed to the side, smelled the smell on the pill, and snucked it straight away, just in time to touch the cable. Pull release, the system announced. A blue-white arc burst out, and the anomaly's body twitched and stiff, making a squeaky scream. The current penetrates its limbs, like a whip whipping the air, and the burnt smell spreads instantly. Yinghui's eyes lit up. She rushed forward, and a screw knife stabbed into its horn, and the hot blood sprayed on the barrier, sliding like ink. The first goal is to lose money. The remaining 2 goals, adjust the track and predict the impact point B3. The system's verb seems to have a little more rhythmic feeling, as if fighting her side by side. Yinghui was breathing, and excitedly poured over her heart. This is not energy, this is strength. She felt what the fear in her body was transforming into, a waking flame. The remaining 2 anisals became even more violent, one straightened the barrier and the other was swaying towards the slaughter. She predicted the system's prompt, pulled another backup wire, and threw out the second thrust. The arc burst again, and the second anomaly fell to the ground, his limbs were bleak and his saliva mixed with black blood. The last one was smart, and it leaned down and tried to drill the picture from the barrier. But Yinghui had already waited. She lifted up and stabbed the screw knife directly in the eyes. The energy field of the system was used to help at the critical moment, making the blade as sharp as an electric blade. The strange beast cried out, soft on the ground. 3 zombies piled outside the roof, and the temperature of death spread in the darkness. Yinghui slid down against the wall, her chest undulating violently. Sweat mixed with blood stuck to her face, but a smile appeared at the corner of her mouth. We did it, Guardian, you saved me. The mission is completed. Energy consumption, 22%. Unlock new function, Resource Purification Module. Scan the remaining items in the carton, 70% conversion rate. Is it possible to clean up? Wei Wei pointed at the head, and the sound of the sound was determined, I will do it. The thirst is about to take my life. The system is buzzing, debris inside the blue cap, cracked pipes, compressed food packaging, and even nutrient capsules that fall during forced landing. There was a strange sound of transformation in the air, as crisp as water flowed through the filter. After a few minutes, a small pile of crystal-shaped glue appeared on the panel, emitting a faint fruity aroma. Purification is completed, provides 500 calories supplements, containing moisture and vitamins. Safe to eat. She grabbed a group and stuffed it into her mouth. The sweet juice burst out, instantly quenching the thirst, and the strength stormed back to the limbs like a tide. After Su Hui closed her eyes for a moment, a warm current surged in her heart. Previously, she was just a screw cap on the track, and she had an affair with lonely routine. But now, this system is not only a tool, but also a partner. It allowed her to see hope, not a blind prayer, but a controllable reversal. Desperate? Go to his. She wants to survive, build a fortress, and protect more people. External scan, human hot source signals were detected in the wilderness area, 1.2 kilometers away. Suspected underground mask entrance. Risk assessment, intermediate. Huo Hui opened her eyes quietly and looked at the door. Outside the barrier, the darkness remained, but she was no longer afraid. She pushed a little scribble and came over the pasture with the smell of earth. The wilderness stretched out, and there were faint lights everywhere, like fires slamming in the eternal night. That's the human race. Survivor? She held the screw knife and took the first step. The foot stepped on the soft soil and made a slight crunch. The monster's body was still twitching, reminding her that the danger was not far away. But now, she has guardians and power. Let's go, the system. Let's go and see behind those lights, whether it's hope or another battle. She whispered, heading towards the dark side. In the wind, what seems to be coming far away, human voice. Wei Hui's boots stepped on the gravel, making a crunchy sound, and each step was like groping in the darkness to find an invisible path. The wind slumbered around the smell of soil and rottenness and swollen it, making her eyebrows swell. The lights far away became clearer and clearer, not steady fire, but shaking flashes, like the breath of a dying person. The system's voice is in the low voice in the ears, the hot source signal is confirmed, 5 people, the movement speed is unstable. Accompanied by the stranger, the number is unknown. Risk level, high. Human. That's great. Wei Hui murmured, sweating as the palm of her palm holding the screw knife was already in full swing. She accelerated and shouted in the darkness, chaotic and desperate. Run! That thing is catching up. A female screamed, followed by a metal collision lens and a low roar. She slammed out the bush, and the scene in front of her made her breath. 5 figures stumbled in the wilderness, and a young man danced with a lensed iron tube, holding 2 small anisals. The monsters were like twisted wild dogs, with cracked skin revealing their dynamic black flesh, and their claws digging up the ground to slam the soil. The other 4, 2 women, a boy and an old man, were shrunk behind, gasping, wrapped in broken cloth, and covered in mud. Hey! Here! Yinghui shouted, his voice rumbling in the night wind. She didn't hesitate, and the system's blue light flashed around her field, real-time warfare, use terrain to induce enemies. It is recommended to place an electromagnetic interferer to extract it from the battery. She took out the cable from her waist and connected to the system's port. After the emergency landing, she modified this thing, like a temporary energy bar. The Guardian, maximum power. The end of the cable was buzzing, and the blue arc jumped. She threw her hand and the interferer rolled into the monster group. Buzz, the electromagnetic vein exploded, whipping the air like an invisible whip. The 2 anomalies froze, their bodies twitched, and their red eyes dimmed. One of them hit the iron tube man's weapon and sent a slight repercussion, which was soft on the ground. The other will turned around and rushed towards Yinghui, but she avoided her side and stabbed her snail directly on the side of her belly. The hot blood was sprayed, and the sticky touch made her stomach turn, but she gritted her teeth and held her upper body. When she drew the knife, a strange feeling of excitement surged in her heart. This was her battle and her survival. The survivors were stunned. The iron pipe man gasped and wiped his face. Who are you, you? Where did you come from? Hui. The survivor of space. She responded briefly, watching them. The woman was holding the boy, the old man was coughing with a tree, and the other woman checked the wound. Where are you? Why are you swaying in this terrible place? My name is Akai, these are Xiaoling, Auntie, and Xiao Ming, plus you. We escaped from the nearby underground cover. The leader there was a snail and snatched the resources. When the monster came in, we ran away. Akai said, glanced at her screw knife with vigilance. Are you alone? Have a weapon? Yinghui smiled and patted the cable around her waist, not only weapons, but also fortresses. Follow me, there are more people in the dark, which are stronger than single. She stretched out her hand and felt that the leader was inexplicably immersed in her heart. Since she was at the railway station, she only cared about the machine and now she has to pull these strangers forward. Alone? The eternal night makes everyone look like a lonely island, but maybe, if they are connected together, they can be saved. They followed her back, their feet mixed in the wilderness. System low-sounding report, the team was successfully integrated. Low energy consumption. It is recommended to return to the load and start the pin mode. The spacecraft is reflected in the eyes, like a slanted steel castle, and the blue barrier is still moving slightly. When Yinghui pushed the door open, the air inside was as fresh as the forest, dissipating the rotten smell outside. Come in, it's safe here. She pointed, Akai and the others fishing in, their eyes widening. Is this spacecraft? Oh my god, I didn't expect it to be useful. Xiaoling was shocked. The boy Xiaoming touched the wall and shouted excitedly, Sister, there are lights here. The hunching points the head and activates the panel, the Guardian optimizes the air circulation. The entire purifier is cleaned and the oxygen module is injected. The buzzing bird rises, and the blue light spreads like a fog. Everyone takes a deep breath and feels their lungs stretching. The ants stopped coughing and murmured, it feels like I'm back at the stove at home, warm. Where is the water resources? We are thirsty. Akai asked, his throat swelling. System, purification mode, collect condensate in the tank and filter pollutants. Yinghui responded. After a few minutes, a small pond of clear water flowed out of the pipe, clear to the bottom, with a faint metallic smell, but it was 100 times stronger than the water outside. They drank and had a long-lasting relaxation on their faces. Without stopping, she pulled out the seed packs of forced landings from the bin, experimental crops, algae and fast-growing vegetables from the quilt station. The Guardian, soil simulation, used the soil at the bottom of the plant to circulate the humidity. The system responded, a corner of the plant rose and easily placing it. Under the nourishment of the blue light, the seeds sprouted quickly. Green buds break through the ground, and tender leaves stretch in the glimmer of light, like a hint of hope in the darkness. Xiaoming squatted down and looked, his eyes lit up, will you grow up? Can you eat? Yes. This is our start. Yinghui said, her heart warmed up. Previously, her planting was just a task, and now, this green color is life-saving food. The lack of resources faded a little, and she felt that she was no longer a victim, but a builder. Suddenly, the system snarled, upgrade unlock, monitoring module is activated. Scanning scope expands to 5 kilometers. Detection anomaly activity, small group, 1.8 kilometers southeast. Prediction path, approaching the car. Material search opportunity, nearby waste trucks with metal and fuel. Yinghui stood up and said, I have to go out and find something to come back. Akai, will you use an iron tube? Akai pointed out, from a military brigade, okay. But you are too dangerous alone. The system will help me. Keep here and don't touch the seeds. She gave him a screw knife to use, her eyes firm. This was her first suggestion, which simply made her heart beat faster. The leader was not to be high, but to bring everyone to live together. The darkness outside became even more intense, and the wind was like a ghost crying, making her face hurt. Yinghui guided forward along the system, with her feet moving lightly and quickly. The monitoring module projected a map in the brain, red points mark monsters, blue points are dead. She touched a overturned cart, with a scattered lens, but the fuel tank still left. When his hand reached in to fight, the system warned, the anomaly group is close. 5 small and 1 medium. A distance of 30 meters. Warfare advice, use the terrain to induce internal struggles. They have a leader effect, and the weakness is in the crystal core of the horn. A roar started and a shadow emerged from the darkness. 5 small anomalies came, like a slim shadow, and their claws gripped the ground and made a harsh scratch. Yinghui retreated and flew in her brain, the guardians, analyze it immediately. In calculation, put the interferer to the narrow path, causing a medium-sized anomaly conflict. The success rate is 78%. She threw out the cable and exploded on the road. The small monsters were chaotic, 2 of which hit the medium-sized one, a big, nearly 2 meters tall, black thorns bulging on the back, and eyes as flashing as blood moon. It roared, its claws swept into the same category, and its flesh and blood were flying, and the fishy smell filled the air. Yinghui seized the opportunity and went to the side. The system speeds up, weak points are exposed. Energy helps, blade amplification. She lifted up, and the screw knife pierced into the head of the medium-sized anomaly like an electric blade. The monster tugged and her tail swept, she shook away, and the soil filled her face. I have a unique heart, is this growth? From shaking hands to killing the monsters, to the standalone face against the giant beasts, the feel of the hand becomes more and more stable, and the fear in the heart becomes fuel. The monster roared and threw her away, but the small group had already killed each other, and the 3 bite each other into a group, screaming and resounding. Yinghui took advantage of the situation and turned the blade deeper, and the blood was pouring like a spring. The monster fell to the ground, his chest cracked, and a blue crystal core rolled out, illuminating. Crystal core acquisition. Analysis, rare energy source, can enhance the system. Injection suggestions, improve purification efficiency by 20%. She lifted up the crystal core and plugged it into the port. The warm current spreads throughout the body, and the system buzzes, enhanced is completed. The host's adaptability is improved, fight straight plus 15%. Yinghui stood up panting, feeling that the muscles are more solid and the vision is more powerful. This was her first independent killing, not a sport, but a change of skills. The monsters were piled up, and she laughed in the dark, come on, Yongye. I'm not afraid. Drag the fuel barrel back, and as soon as the door opened, Akai and the others came up. You're fine. I heard that I was fighting outside. Xiaoling said worriedly. Get it. System, repair mode, inject crystal nucleus energy, repair and replenish the body, said Yinghui. The blue light is strong, the twisted metal retracts like a living creature, cracks and bonds, and the barrier is strengthened into a solid field of force. The lights inside the roof are bright, the air is purer, and the crops are green. She sat down against the wall and watched everyone share the food and water, and her heart was filled with complex emotions. The eternal night brings loneliness, like a shady curtain around the edge of the world, without any contact. But now, this small team figure allows her to see the light in the crack. From the fragile survivor to the owner of the fortress, she changed, no longer an lonely island, but a light tower. Tomorrow, we will build. Who has the idea? Asked Yinghui. Akai and the others exchanged their eyes and pointed their heads. Outside, the sound remains the same, but inside the fortress, the warmth is spreading. System low words, new threat detection, faraway human force signal. Distance is wider. As soon as Yinghui's voice fell, Akai poured it up and wiped the soil on his hands. Idea? Put this fuel into the system first. I can see that your thing needs energy. Then, we have to think about how to expand this place. The light signals outside may be more people swaying like us. She pointed and felt that this team was starting to look like a team. Yinghui pointed out that everyone dragged the fuel barrel into the tank, and the blue light swept over, and the system hummed, fuel injection is completed. The energy reserve has increased to 65%. Unlocking the foundation expansion modeling block, the wall extends, and it is expected to increase 20 square meters of space. The metal wall emits a deep friction sound, extending out like a living thing, and a new partition bulges around the door. The air is filled with a fresh welding smell, mixed with the greenness of the crop tray, which makes people feel refreshed. Xiaoming ran to touch the new wall excitedly. Sister, is this magic? It's not magic, it's technology. Yinghui smiled and squatted down to check the resources. She scoops out clean water from the purifying pond, divides it with half a cup for each person, and cuts the buds of the fast-growing algae into small portions, mixes with gelatin and supplements. From today, resources will be allocated on demand. Whoever makes more efforts and get more points, but they can't waste money. Akai, you are responsible for patrols, Xiaoling helps take care of crops, you and Ant guard the entrance, and Xiaoming learns the identification system warning. Everyone pointed their heads, and there was a little more dependence in their eyes. Yinghui felt a little nervous inside. She had been at the trail station before, and now she had to take care of these people. What if there was a mistake? But looking at them eating tigers, she gritted her teeth. This is the leader, and we have to come step by step. The night became deeper, the sound was like crying, and the growl was hanging from a distance. The monitoring module is activated, the blue map is expanded on the panel, and red spots are sporadic. System, scan the surrounding survivor signals. In detection, 0.8 kilometers northeast, 3 hot sources. The mobile trunk is unstable, accompanied by mild injuries. The risk is low, so it is recommended to contact. The guard's voice was calm, like an old warrior was speaking. Yinghui put on a rag cloak, grabbed the screw knife and cable. Akai, come with me to pick up people. Everyone else guards the house. They went out in the dark, and their feet stepped on the gravel and made a slight sound. In the darkness, the convoy came to breathe and drag. They walked past a twisted tree, and 3 figures appeared before them, 2 men and a woman, gasping on an overturned motorcycle. Among them, the tall and powerful man had bloody cloth strips on his arm, and his other hand was holding a bent sword, with his eyes as alert as a wolf. Stop! Who? The man whispered, pointing the tip of the knife at them. Yinghui, from space. You are not so tired, follow us, there is a safe place. She raised her hands and signaled that it was harmless. The system whispered in the ears, target confirmation, former army, thank you. Strong body, rich experience in fighting. It is recommended to recruit. Xia Ting looked at her narrowly, but the knife didn't put down. Space? It sounds like a fish in the sky. Why do you prove that it's not a monster's disguise? Kai stepped forward and said, Brother, we have escaped too. There is air in it, eating and drinking. It's better than waiting to die like this. The woman pulled her sleeves and said, Brother Ting, I can't hold it anymore. Xia Ting took a moment of hesitation and closed his knife. Okay, but there is an outrage, I'll cut you first. They followed and returned limply. The lights inside the board lit up and everyone looked at each other. Xiaoling went to Qingshui and said, Drink, it's new. What now Hui said is right, it's like heaven. Xia Ting drooled, his eyes softened, thank you. My name is Xia Ting. This is Ah Chang and Xiao Wei. We escaped from the old army, and the monsters came in there, and the leader dropped us and ran away. He swept the screen and noticed the blue light barrier. This system, the military prototype. Interesting. How did you get it? Shihui briefly explained the forced landing and guardians, and Xia Ting's eyes lit up. I came from a former soldier. I think this is something. Can it optimize the air circulation? It's too timely, and the pollution in the outside is getting heavier. He rolled up his sleeves and showed his strong arms. I can help train everyone. These little monsters can't be driven by air for long. Wang Hui instinctively warned that this guy was too strong, like a natural commander. But seeing how he taught Xiaoming how to hold the iron tube and practiced it, her defense in her heart was a little relaxed. Perhaps, multiple experts are lucky. The next morning, although there is no morning in the eternal night, the system's simulated lights make people think there is dawn. The organizational allocation of the Hui organization, Xia Ting took Akai and Xiao Wei out to search for resources, and she guarded the fortress. The first batch of leaves have grown from the crop tray, green and oily, and it feels moist and flexible. The air was as fresh as the forest after the rain, and everyone had less cough. Suddenly, the system alarm was harsh, the air pollution index has risen sharply. External poisonous fogs are invading, source, southeast wind erosion anomalies corrode. Forecast, in 5 minutes, it reaches a risk level, and the risk of collective poisoning is 85%. Start emergency purification. Jinghui's heart tightened, operation. All sealed. The blue light was soaring, and the vent was moving like a dust-sucking device. In the buzzing sound, there was a sour smell that was pulled away. The barrier is thickened, and the sound of the fog comes out when it hits, like water on the heat. Everyone coughed a few times, but no one fell down. Xiao Ming hugged his knees. Sister, it's so terrible. It's okay, the system predicted it. Shihui patted him, her heart furious. This crisis was too sudden. If there were no guardians, they would be completely finished. She looked at Xia Ting and he pointed. What a guy, this system saved our lives. You are the head, I hear you. After the crisis was resolved, the fortress became more stable. Xia Ting began training. He used a military knife to demonstrate the siege, sweat dripped down the head, and the sound lens said, the monster's weakness is in the eyes and the horns. Don't fight hard, find a chance to start. Ah Kai, try. Ah Kai was silly, clumsy but serious. Shihui watched the motorcycle on the side, and Xia Ting turned around. You are here too. It's not possible to rely on the system alone, you have to train your body. She hesitated and took the iron tube. Xia Ting held her wrist and adjusted his posture. Relax, force spreads from his waist. Like this. His palms were rough and powerful, with the smell of nitros, making Yinghui's face slightly warm. She was distracted and said to herself, this person is reliable, but she can't rely too much on it. During the training, she gradually followed the rhythm, and she heard the voices and cried out in her body. From defense to tacit understanding, this transformation becomes as natural as air purification. At night, the police responded again, the alien detector is approaching. There are 8 numbers, and the medium-sized leader is 1. The distance is 200 meters. Idea, try to detect weak points. Warfare suggestions, generate anti-foul air and combine close combat. When Shihui rushed to the entrance, Xia Ting had picked up the sword. I'll hit you, you can help. In the darkness, the monster's shadow swayed and growled like thunder. Shihui activation system, Guardian, fog mode. Ingredients, anesthetic agent plus visual interference, covering a range of 50 meters. The blue mist sprayed out from the barrier, spreading like a ghost, and a faint sweet fragrance filled the air. The monster came, and the first wave of small collisions entered the fog, and the red eyes were confused. They collide with each other, their claws grabbing, and they roar in a mess. Xia Ting laughed, good thing. He rushed out, his sword was like flash, and his head was broken, and the blood was sprayed, pouring onto his arms. The head leader roared, his big body scattered the mist, and his spine was like a spear. It thrust straight, its tail swept, and its winds are so stressed that it can't breathe. The blade of the knife is drawn across its side, but only the marks are left. Strong, he shouted. The storm flew in the brain, system, the fog is concentrated. The head is locked. The blue fog slammed into the monster's eyes like a rope. It stumbled, and its roar became weak. Xia Ting seized the opportunity and jumped up and stabbed into the nucleus. The blade penetrated deep, the blue light burst, the monster twitched and fell to the ground, and the body smashed out of a deep pit, shaking the ground. The remaining monsters scattered, with only screams and revelations left in the mist. The team burst into tears, and Ah Kai patted Xia Ting on the shoulder. Don't Xiaowei hugged Xianghui. You saved us. Xianghui gasped and looked at Xieting. He wiped the blood from the knife, and his eyes praised, cooperate with tacit understanding. You not only have brains, but also care. Her heart warmed, and her guard turned into trust. This person is not a threat, but a pillar. From surviving in isolation to fighting in the team, she felt that she had grown up and had a weight of responsibility on her shoulders. After the battle, the system jingled, kill the head of the zombie and get energy. Unlocking the communication function, shortwave signal module, with a range of 10 kilometers. It is recommended to contact nearby masks and exchange information. Yinghui's eyes lit up, open. Scan the signal. A message popped up on the panel, and soon, a sound came, there is the old warehouse covering here. Who? We are short of water, and the monsters are surrounding the door. Yinghui, the east side space castle. We have a purification system that can change the water source information. Are your leaders? She replied calmly. The other party said, Leader. That arrogant ghost has snatched our fuel and is competing with the neighboring group. Wait, do you mean to clean up? We have fuel barrels, can we change it? Shihui glanced at Xieting, and he pointed, talking to make a decision, stay stable. She said with a clever tongue, it's not just about changing, but alliance. The monsters are getting stronger and stronger, and they can't do it alone. We send someone to deliver water, you give fuel and maps. Resolve the dispute and start with sharing. The communication is silent, and then the whisper. Finally, the deal is completed. The 5 of us come over and bring something. Half an hour later, a team of people arrived in the dark, with a man with a beard on his cheeks on his back, and he was carrying a fuel barrel. Little sister, you can do it. We call Brother Z, and the arrogant leader heard the alliance and jumped straight away. He calmed down at a moment. The fortress was hot, and 5 new people rushed in, bringing metal fragments and old maps. The Shui organization is distributed, the new space is filled with people, and the laughter is mixed with the gurgling sound of the pure water. Xieting said in a low voice, your diplomacy saves the internal war. You are missing from the army. Yinghui smiled and felt a sense of accomplishment in her heart, from being held by one person to pulling up more than a dozen people. This wall growing like a fortress has become more and more realistic. But the system's silly stuttered, new signal detection, large anomaly group, 5 kilometers southwest. Accompanied by human force movement. Prediction, a conflict is about to break out. Outside, the sound of the guns that were ignited to the distance, she clenched her fists and looked at the team. It's time to prepare for the next battle. Jinghui's eyebrows were tightly locked, and the red spots on the panel were squirming like claws. The guns in the southwest were getting closer and closer, like firecrackers exploding in the dark. The system's sound was cold and urgent, signal analysis was completed, human force, 7-man team. Install intermediate equipment, carry firearms and melee weapons. The moving track points to the fortress, meaning, plunder resources. The anomaly group avoids at regular intervals, predicted hit time, 15 minutes. Punisher. Xieting rushed over, holding the sword in his hand, his eyes as sharp as a keel. It's not a monster, it's a human. These bastards are the most cruel in Eternal Night, and they are dedicated to other people's family. The rapid pace of Yanghui's heart was not pure fear, but mixed anger. She has become a guardian of this fortress from the lonely engineer at the railway station. Now she has to face the same kind of greed. Activate the crisis module, guard the owner. Predict their routes in a full range and give me a map. The blue light flashes, and the panels project a 3-dimensional projection. The cracks in the wilderness are like spider nets, and the red line marks the enemy's path, from the deserted warehouse to the southeastern slope. The enemy's sleeve is strong and has a modified step gun. Weakness, rely on firepower, clumsy in close proximity. Suggestion, place hidden traps at the entrance of the ramp and use terrain to divide. Akai, you bring the men from Brother Xi to ambush the left wing, Xiaowei and Xiaoling guard the back door, ready to clean the water to make a fuss. Yinghui pointed, her voice as steady as the system itself. Xia Ting pointed his head and patted her on the shoulder. I'm wearing a head, are you sitting behind the town? No, I'm going to be with myself this time. She said, her heart sank, she would have only been hiding in the carriage and controlling it now, and now she has to learn to be urged. System ding, personal shield unlocking, the energy field covers the host and absorbs 20%. After injecting the crystalline nuclear energy, it lasts for 10 minutes. Everyone started moving, and the footsteps inside the fortress were in a messy and orderly manner. Yinghui and Xia Ting went out in the dark and set up along the ramp. She extracted electromagnetic lines from the system, buried them in the loose soil, and disguised them into dead branches. Xia Ting sprinkled off the slag of the anus, and the smell dissipated, causing the harbor to be on the back. It's done, Xia Ting said, those guys are on the head when they hear it. The gun approached, and the shadow swayed in the darkness. The leader's voice was rough and smooth like sandpaper. Boss said, this spacecraft is a fat sheep. There is an airplane inside, which knocks us out. 7 figures emerged, and the gun was loaded, and the flames flashed. They stepped on the ramp, and led the way, a squid full of cheeks, carrying the gun and shouting, the girl at the door, do you hear it? Come out and spend resources, don't you die. Yinghui hid behind the rock, and the shield quietly started, and the blue light wrapped around her body like a thin gauze, and she was eager to penetrate her skin. She lowered her voice to the system, lock the gas, scrub the ramp, ingredients, light anesthesia plus visual blur, weakening their 50% combat power. The wind vent is hidden in the soil and the buzzing birds are buzzing, and the colorless gas is spreading like a fog, and the wind blows into the enemy's environs. The first thief inhaled and coughed. Cough, what smells? Your eyes are blurred. The leader said, waste. Pull. But their steps stumbled, their guns swayed, and the shots were swaying, and the shots were skewed, and they rubbed the rocks and made a sharp spike. Xia Ting led his team out, and Akai's iron tube hit a side wing, which was like knocking a watermelon, and the enemy fell to the ground and mourned, ah! My legs! The gun broke out, and the fire illuminated his face. Xia Ting's sword flickered and cut off a dagger. Come on, garbage. You are the ones like this in the eternal night. He was like a leopard, avoiding a shuttle, and the blade slashed over another person's arm. The smell of blood mixed into the gas, and the enemy formed a group. Wei Hui was not idle, she controlled it from afar. The gas is pressurized, locking the sleeves. Wei Yang was so angry that he rubbed his eyes and slammed the ground. Do you die? Who is messing up? He came blindly, and shot fired, and Ziyang rushed towards Wei Hui's hiding place like rain. The rocks shattered, and the fragments were scattered over her face, and the pain was so hot. But the shield buzzed, and the blue field slammed and killed the deadly blow. The energy wave spread like water marks, causing the shaking to retreat. What ghost thing? My ghost thing. Yinghui pulled out, and the screw knife was like a flash of electric blade under the amplitude of the shield. She lifted up and pierced her chest. He reacted slowly, and he was able to hold his gun and swing his body, with a force like a steel slug. But the shield absorbed and slammed, and the blue light burst out, and Yinghui only felt light and shook it with the force, and the blade penetrated deep into his shoulder. He screamed, and the gun fell to the ground, and blood was leaking like a spring. You stinky bitch. Our boss will come to take revenge. Come on your mother. Wei Hui gritted her teeth, drew her sword and stabbed her again, aiming at the head. Wang Han glared at him, and blood was leaking from his mouth. Impossible, we have more than a dozen people. He fell down, smashing the ground, shaking the soil. Other plunderers saw the situation, the military collapsed, and they threw the gun and ran away, but Kai and others blocked the retreat. The iron tubes and fists greeted, and the sounds of mourning came one after another. The battle ended quickly, and the 7 or 8 of the gangs and prisoners were scattered on the ramp. The shield faded away, and the energy inside the body receded like a tide, leaving behind a burst of fatigue. But looking at the strong body, the corner of her mouth curled up. This is not aura, it is her retaliation. A arrogant plunderer. Now it is a mud on the feet. Xia Ting walked over and wiped the blood from the knife. Fuck beautifully, head. The first time I went to the air, I slaughtered the boss. It's okay, she smiled, and her heart was filled with heat. From hiding behind the barrier to ending the threat by hand, this step is big. She is no longer a passive family keeper, but a strategy fighter who can take the initiative to attack. The darkness of the eternal night once made her afraid, now, it has become her battlefield. Among the prisoners, a thin woman was slapped, her hair was irritated, and her eyes were as bright as stars. She was knocked down by the sluggish body and murmured, "Did you win?" Yinghui squatted down and cut off her hair. "Aren't you theirs?" The woman slammed her head and rubbed her wrists. "My name is Lu Yi, and they were caught by them. The engineer escaped from the old laboratory and specialized in mechanical and air systems. They wanted to use me to modify the gun, but if they failed, they would be coolies." She glanced at Yinghui's screw knife, and her eyes lit up. "Is your shield derived from the wind system?" "It's so genius. The energy field is stable, can you let me see it?" Yinghui was stunned for a moment, and the system verb said, "Target analysis, Li, the matching degree of technical experts is 95%. It is recommended to recruit, and the optimization potential is huge." She pulled Li up and said, "Get up and go with us. The fortress needs someone like you." Return to the fortress, the lights were warm and everyone called to greet them. As soon as Li entered the board, her eyes glowed. "Is this a prototype guard? Can you still run after a forced landing? Let me test the interface." She danced with her fingers and connected her own tool, a small piece of circuit board that was swept from the wielding man. System hood, external optimized access. Air circulation efficiency plus 15%, unblocking automatic repair module. When Yinghui looked at it, she was delighted. This woman not only saved her life, but also brought her upgrade. Xia Ting came to clean the water. "Welcome, a new partner. 3 people are here to win the big scene." The loot piled in the corner, stepping guns, squirting medicine, metal fragments. Yinghui activation system, absorption mode, analyze the enemy equipment. The blue light swept over, and the gun melted into alloy and injected into the wall. In the humming geese, the fort wall is thickened, the barrier is upgraded to a multi-layer force field, and the hidden muzzle rises from the ground, which can emit electromagnetic impellers. The defense level has been improved to the middle level. Energy reserve plus 30%, system report. Louis wiped her hands. "I added a sensor network. Now I can predict static and static within 50 meters. Yinghui, you have a great ability. Have you built this fort from a single carriage?" "Let's go step by step," said Yinghui, looking out the window with darkness. From defense to expansion, a map has appeared in her brain. The next ruin can build a second point. A plunderer. Let them come, she is the queen now, not a treasure. Inner self-indulgence is short, growth is not about strengthening, it is about seeing the path clearly. Taking the initiative to attack is the way to survive. Xia Ting slapped the table. "Head, tell the plan. What should those prisoners do? Ask the information and let it go." "Tell them, the alliance or the egg," said Yinghui. Li pointed out, "I can dig out nearby force distribution from their circuits. There are big heads in the old warehouse where you stock up. In the fortress, laughter begins." Xiaoming came to the new sprouts and vegetables. "Sister, have some food." "Sister Li, will you repair the gun?" Li smiled, "Not only the gun, but also the nursery for this eternal night." Outside, the voice is accused of more footsteps. The system's silly, new signal, large anomalies approaching, accompanied by another human force. The distance is 3 kilometers. Ready to expand? Yinghui clenched her fist, her eyes fixed. "Come on, we will not wait this time, go out to welcome." As soon as Yinghui's voice fell, Louis raised her head from the panel, and sparks flashed in her eyes, like a child discovering a new toy. "Responsible to hit? Good idea. But don't rush out first, let me see the foundation of this system. Weird, your guardian has potential, the energy flow is unstable, and the harmony is stuck at 60%. I can optimize it. She rolled up her sleeves, exposed the spotted oil on her arms, grabbed a bunch of circuit boards and metal strips that were rolled from the wielder, and practiced as if she was repairing a bicycle in her backyard. Wei Wei pointed her head and felt that as soon as this woman joined, she added vitality to the fortress. Okay, you can get the system done, Xia Ting and I will go to explore the signal. Ah, you stay at home and don't let the prisoners be rude. She put on her cloak. Xia Ting had picked up the sword and followed her. The wind outside was even bigger, and the roar was scattered around the distance, as if the earth was breathing. They went forward in the dark, their feet stepped on the gravel and made a crunchy sound. The system's monitoring network projected a blue picture in the brain. 3 kilometers southwest, a group of strange animals were approaching, and their shadows were surging like a tide, accompanied by sporadic flames. Another human force were also escaping. It looks like the monster is rushing the sheep, Xia Ting said softly, his blade reflecting invisibly in the darkness. That helps people with good equipment, but the quantity is small and it won't last long. Will we take it? Yinghui hesitated and felt nervous. She used to only protect herself, but now she has to take care of other people's lives. But Lu Yi's words are in the brain, harmony. She took a deep breath and said, call. Tell them that there is a door in the fortress, but you have to hear the point. They accelerated, and the sound of guns and screams came from the wind, and soon bumped into a small team of figures, 4 men and 1 woman, panting. The woman in the head was dancing and gunning, and the sweat mud on her face was mixed. Who are you? Monsters are at the back. Yinghui, Space Fortress. Follow us, it's safe. Shall we said in a short sentence, the system's low-key style, the scale of the enemy trend, medium and large, over 50. First-class beast detection, crystal core level. Return to the suggestion, immediately. Behind the Shieting Palace, the sword flipped over the strange beasts that were chasing, and the smell of blood filled the air. Quick! The trap on the ramp can hold a little. They ran back wildly, and the blue light from the fort was coming like a light tower. Newcomers came in, sitting on the ground and gasping. The leader called Sister Li and wiped his face. Thank you. We are from the old mine. The monsters are coming suddenly, and the leader is gone. Why is the air so clean in your place? The power of the system, said Yinghui. There was no explanation. She turned to Li. How is it? Optimize progress. Lui dripped from under the panel, covered in dust on her face, and smiled with a smile. It's done. After injecting these circuits, the wind system has been upgraded. The degree of harmony is locked, and the automatic construction model is unblocked. The energy flow is stable, and it can be automatically repaired and expanded. Try, Wei, enter the command, multi-layer structure, 1 layer of farmland, and 1 layer of weapon database. With his hand pressing on the panel, the blue light was bright and the buzzing bird rose like a heartbeat. The walls of the cylindrical walls have come alive, the metal plates stretch and merge, and the ground is raised, like the earth is breathing. The air is filled with heat waves and metal fragrance. The first-level farm area is formed, the soil-simulated tray is expanded to 10 square meters, and the fast-growing crops grow in the blue light, with green leaves rustling, and the touch is moist and elastic. Yinghui squatted down and touched her, and the swaying of the soil made her feel at ease. This was her grain, which was under control from seeds to harvest. The second-level weapon library is raised and hidden behind the wall, the step gun is automatically assembled, the spray is synthesized from a clean module, and the electromagnetic muzzle emerges from the floor, buzzing and waiting to be released. Xia Ting's eyes lit up. This mother is a fortress, no longer an iron can. The newcomer, Sister Li, touched the gun and murmured, if we had this thing on our mine, we would have turned over. Li clapped her hands. Not only these, automaticity can also predict crisis. Smart, the system now reconciles your neural reaction, and you can feel its movements, like the second heart. Yinghui closed her eyes and tried, a warm current flowed from the panel into the body, and the field edge flashed through the blue frame, a crisis warning. Her eyes slimly, her heart was in a different way. This was not just a tool, but a partner. From surviving in isolation to co-starring with the system, she felt that she was becoming more complete. The fortress was hot, and the Xia Ting team trained, everyone heard it. The monster wave is not waiting for people. Kai and Sister Li, you are learning the situation. Xiao Ming and Xiao Wei are responsible for the communication. Brother Ji organized it to help Li strengthen the fortifications. He slapped his knife and demonstrated that the sweat was flying, and the sound of the sound lens was like a military order. Don't panic when you get close to it, and look at the eyes. No matter how fierce the monster is, you are afraid of pain. Kai kept up, clumsy but serious. Sister Li pointed, okay, we have a strong life in the mine, so practice. Li Diamond entered the weapon database and the tool dings. I reinforce the turret and connect the air pressure of the system. Wei, where is the resources? Our fuel and crystal cores. The savvy system started, flipped the map, and distributed the purified water and crops. Fuel comes from the bucket of the plunderer, and the 5 pieces I had been hunting last night were injected into the farm lights. Auntie, I am keeping the logistics, so don't let people get tired. She was busy with her hands, but when she looked at everyone's head, her heart was calm. The leader was not to issue orders, but to make every will move. This is her growth, from being alone to getting married online. The system suddenly jingled and the sound was rapid. The large monster wave is confirmed. The size is 100, the front medium-sized beast group, the head is hidden behind. The distance is 500 meters, the impact time, 3 minutes. War advice, activate the high-pressure air cannon, cover the ramp, and swing the front. As the Shui hurried to the entrance, the red tide was storming on the blue map. The roar was like thunder rolling, the ground was shaking, and the dust was flying. Everyone is in place. Xia Ting, the front line is held. Lu Yi, the turret line, I control the system. The smelly nose was swollen in the wind, and the monster's shadow appeared. The front line had 20 medium-sized anomalies, the spine was black like a spear, the red eyes were flashing, and the claws were digging the ground to slam the mud waves. They roared and roared like a dark tide swallowing nothing. Guardian, high-pressure air cannon, full power. Yinghui shouted, pressing his hand on the panel. The system is buzzing and the opening is like a giant beast port, and the air is compressed into an invisible cannon, which is rushed out. Rush! A transparent wave of shock exploded, the wind was like a huge slam to smash the ground, and the group of forward beasts was swept in an instant. More than a dozen monsters flipped over and hit the rock, their bones were cracked and their voices were crisp and bloody. The remaining stumbled back, the roar became terrifying, and the air was filled with the smell of anxiety. The team burst into tears, and Kai fisted, fuck. Clear half a slope with one shot. Xia Ting laughed, and the sword flickered, head, this system is awesome. Brothers, go up, kill them. The military spirit was as hot as fire, and the training results were revealed. Sister Li shot a gun, Zibu hit a side belly, and the monster's morning number fell to the ground. The iron tube of the iron group smashed the black thorns, and blood was sprayed like rain. Everyone walked forward with their shoulders and smiled, and the darkness of the eternal night seemed to have retreated for a few minutes. But the tide continued, and a large group of beasts from behind storm, a giant beast head was drawn out, 3 meters tall, armored shells were like iron, and its tail was swept off the trees, and the sound of the slight shook the ears. System warning, the head of the head is close. Weakness, abdomen is soft and armored, and needs to be broken close to the body. Crisis prediction, Li is exposed. The blue-eye vision flashed, and the blue frame was locked in Li. She was climbing up to the fort to adjust, without paying attention to the medium-sized balls on the side wing. Her claws were like pads, and she was directly at the back. The time slowed down, like the system's predictive vision. She saw the trajectory, felt the flow of the wind, and her heartbeat was synchronized with the buzz. Li. Left. She rushed out, and the shield automatically started, wrapping her body like a bell. The screw knife increases like a flash under the explosion of harmony, and the air pressure shrinks into a blade. She thrust into the war circle, stabbed the monster's horns on the side, and poured blood on her face, sticking to the people. The monster turned over and came to her. She shook away, the soil was stuffed into her mouth, and the bitter smell made her cough. But the vision is clear, the system's harmony level has exceeded 80%, and it is instinctive to know it. She judged that the claws were hit, and her sides stabbed backwards. The blade penetrated deeper. The monster twitched and fell to the ground. The crystal core rolled out, and the blue light moved. Lei turned her head and her face turned pale. Yinghui. Thank you. If it weren't for you, I would have finished. She jumped down, hugged Xiaowei, and her shoulders trembled. Xiating turned over the other and ran over. Head, stable. We hold the head, you retreat. As Yinghui breathed, a warm current surged in her heart. From the leader to the protection of this moment, she felt that her responsibility had become heavier and sweeter. Lei is not a tool, but a sister. Xiating is not a warrior, but a backer. This breakthrough is not only the system, but her heart. Eternal night swallowed no sun, but she lit up erectile dysfunction. In the field, the head beast approached and she shouted, "Thank you, lead it into the muzzle. Lei, recharge it again." Xiating laughed, "Come on, big block." He flicked his enemy, and his sword swept over the armored shell, sparking 4 sparks. The head roared angrily, his tail swept, and his wind was like a knife. Lei's fingers danced. The cannon is full. Huihui, aim at the abdomen. The high-pressure cannon was relaunched, and the waves hit the soft armor. The giant beast's abdomen exploded, and the flesh and blood were flying like rain, and the roar turned into a purgatory. The sharp thunder rose, the blade pierced the wound, the crystal core shattered, and the blue light exploded. The monster fell to the ground, and the ground cracked and the deep pit was broken, and the waves shook the slightest foul. The tide collapsed, and the remaining monsters scattered, and their roars went away. After the war, the fortress was filled with tides. Sister Li patted Huey's shoulders and said, "You saved our whole family. This fortress is hope." Lui came to clean up the water, and her eyes were lit. A breakthrough in harmony. The system is now an extension of you. Hui, you not only build a family, but also protect your family. Xiating rubbed his knife, his eyes softly. He fell from the trunk and turned into a queen. It's worth following you. Shihui smiled, and his inner soul became warm like blue light. Protection is not burden, it is strength. She looked at the panel, and the system was whispered, energy gains a lot. Voice spread, signals around the world surge, allies request access. Forecast, force expansion, more than 20 people. Outside, there are many sounds of footsteps in the wind, and a new group of survivors come in the dark, and the lights gather like sparks. Shihui stood up and said, "Open the door, welcome. But remember, we are a team, not a loose sand." The darkness was still alive, but the blue light from the fortress illuminated more roads. Far away, another wave of roars came. The next challenge is already being written. Yinghui stood at the lookout at the fortress. The blue barrier was moving like a thin fog. The wind and sand of eternal night outside slapped the wall, making a low buzzing sound, like wild animals wandering outside the door. After a few days, the fortress has transformed from an iron can into a steel beehive. The farmland is green, the crop leaves are rustling, and the air is filled with soil and fresh oxygen. In the weapon warehouse, Lei's modified turret is shining coldly, and the medicine is piled up like a hill. More than 20 people had a clear division of labor. Akai brought brother Ji to patrol the logic, Xiao Ming and Xiao Wei learned to build circuits, and sister Li and others were responsible for logistics. Yu Hui took a deep breath and felt that this place was no longer a temporary shelter, but a home that breathed heavily in the dark. Head, the system has been scanned. Lui drew from the back of the panel, rubbed her sweat, and her face was covered in oil, like an artist after the battle. She passed a temporary projection board with surrounding ruins marked on the blue map, the remains of the old city, 2 kilometers away. There is a hidden resource point in the southeast, and the old laboratory location is located. Scanning shows that there are high-purity fuel tanks and medical capsules inside, which will last us for half a year. But the road is difficult to walk, there are many monster nests, and there are still radiation killings. The light width pointing point, the blue frame in the field of vision, the system's harmony is already stable at 85%, and the knowledge is as clear as instinctively. Okay, I'll take Xia Ting and Kai to explore. Lu Yi, you stay at home, and then think about how to build outposts with your deceased. Those space debris left by the plunderers cannot be wasted. Lu Yi's eyes lit up and she grabbed the toolbox, outpost. Okay. I have been dreaming for a long time. When I escaped from the laboratory, I wanted to build a mobile castle. Imagine that as soon as the wheels rotate, I can patrol the surroundings, scan for crisis, and be a monster. Yinghui, do you know? Before the eternal night, I was engaged in air circulation and always wanted to build a self-sufficient city so that people don't have to beat people to death with one breath. Now, this system is like my extension, and it can be realized. Yinghui smiled and patted her on the shoulder. Lei's passion was as warm as blue light. She had only understood the cold and icy machines on the track, but now she understood the sparks of the team. Your dream is good. When the resources come back, we will build it together. Remember, the group is not a lot, but every dream is turned on. My heart flashed, humans should be like this, swallowing the sun forever night, but not hope. Xia Ting followed with a sword, Kai carried the iron tube, and the three of them broke out in the dark. The wind's sand surface is covered with a rotten earthy smell. The feet step on the cracked asphalt road and crunch it. System low words, optimization of the road, avoid the east side nest and walk in the radiator area. Forecast, 3 small anomalies, 50 meters away. Yinghui raised her hand and signaled, and the blue shield quietly wrapped around her body. They walked past a bunch of twisted cars and saw the growl. Xia Ting lowered his voice, "Head, you have changed." He used to hide in the air, but now he is exploring with his team, like a natural warrior. "Study," Yinghui replied, his voice light and fast. "You taught me the latitude, the system of Li, the team's axe. The single fuck was dead long ago." After they were ambushed the rock, the electromagnetic pulse flashed, and the 3 anomalies twitched and fell to the ground, the crystal nucleus rolled out, and the blue light moved. She lifted up and injected into the waste port, warming her body, energy plus 10%. Continue. The ruins are reflected in the eyes, the collapsed high building stands like dry bones, the black vines like vines crawl over the wall, and the air is filled with the smell of metal gloss and the pungent chemistry. System buzzing, resource point confirmation, the underground entrance, the ceiling door needs to be cracked. It is in the danger level. Yinghui pried open the lock with a screw knife, and the door squeaked and the light inside automatically lit up, the power generator was still moving. The fuel tank is flashed and the medical capsule is piled on the rack, and the dust cover is intact. Kai whistled, "It's been released. A second fortress is built here." Xia Ting looked at the policeman, "Don't be too early. Here, there are footsteps outside." Yinghui activates monitoring, panel projection, red spots gather far away, more than 20 human hot sources approaching from the southwest. It's not a monster, it's a human. The signal is strong and the equipment is heavy. The enemy's counterforce? Don't die, Xia Ting held the knife tightly. Those plunderers' nests heard prisoners saying that there was an arrogant ghost named Black Wolf who contacted several small heads to focus on resources. They must have heard the voice and smashed the field. Yinghui was nervous and ordered, "Bank resources, evacuate. Use outposts to block the road." They drove back with fuel barrels, sending the storm to the Mata storm and the swearing sounds. As soon as the fortress arrived, Louis had already modified the dead body of the space car, the wheels were rolled from the waste car, the body was thickened with alloy, and a rotating turret and scanned antenna were installed on the top, like a steel-armored claw. "Go on the car." This thing can run 30 kilometers at a speed, the system connects, and automatically avoid obstacles. Lui shouted, jumped into the driving position, danced with her fingers to start the engine, and the buzzed like a beast roar. The team fishing went to the outpost, and Yinghui sat on the town console. Guardian, connect the outpost. Return to the fortress at full speed and predict the enemy road. The car rolled over the wilderness, rushing through the dust and flying in the middle of the soil. In the rear, the enemy shadows of the Black Pressure followed. The Black Wolf riding was refitted with motorcycles, carrying the Alliance more than 30 people. Guns flashed, and roared, "Space bitch! Your system is ours. Kneel down and throw you to your life." Yinghui sneered, and her heart was filled with treacherous, arrogant ghost. "Last time your subordinate was slaughtered by me, and I dare to come this time." System ding. Terror confirmation, the enemy Black Wolf is equipped with a bazooka. War advice, activate the pollution module and release poisonous fog to disintegrate the air. Fuel injection is required, covering a range of 200 meters. Execute. Yinghui shouted, pressing the port with his hand. The wind opening at the end of the outpost was opened, and the colorless mist sprayed, spreading like a ghost. There was a faint sour smell in the air. The enemy's front sucked in and coughed in an instant, cough cough. What's the ghost thing? The eyes are burning. The motorcycle lost control and rolled over, the gun rubbed his eyes and shot it, and Zifu rubbed his eyes and made a sharp spike. The Black Wolf cried out, "Waste! Pull it, slam the core." But the smoke was like a net, the Alliance became a porridge, the small heads collided with each other, the bazooka exploded, and the flames illuminated the twisted face. Xia Ting rushed out of the outpost, and his sword was like a flash. "Head, cover me." He shaped into the fog, and the wind blew up with black hair. The blade overcame the first small head, the guy came with an axe, and his foot fell to the ground. Xia Ting blocked his throat with a knife, and the blood sprayed like rain. The first. The enemy called the morning sign, and the Alliance soldiers collapsed. He is the devil." Xia Ting laughed and turned to kill the second gunner. The light of the sword reflected the fog, and the smell of blood mixed into the poison, making people suck. Black Wolf glared, "Impossible. How many of you are?" Yinghui controlled in the car, the fog is pressurized, locking the Black Wolf around. The poisonous fog was heavy, he coughed and the rocket shot fell to the ground. "Do you die? This fog is poisonous." Xia Ting suddenly rushed over, pointing directly at the Black Wolf's chest. "Arrogant ghost, last time you knelt down and begged for a whirlpool, this time you're here." The Black Wolf fisted back, with its strength as iron, but Xia Ting flashed his body, and the blade slashed over his arms, and the blood beads flew. Hei Lang cried back and said, "Wait. Let's talk." "Ah." Xia Ting didn't give him a chance, so he kicked him over and said, "Talk. In Yongye, you are only worthy of death. What should I do?" "Let him go to life, but smash their guns." Yinghui ordered, and her voice was as cold as a system. The Black Wolf's face was blue. When he got up, the Alliance had dispersed, and morning numbers were rising everywhere in the fog. Xia Ting withdrew his knife and kicked the rocket launcher. Crash. "Next time, I will be fully killed." The Black Wolf vomited blood and fled with the wolf with a soldier. His back narrowed in the darkness, and he growled like a dog, "This revenge. I remember it." The outpost returned to the fortress and the team cried like a tide. Lui jumped out of the car and hugged Yinghui. "Poisonous fog. My module blessing, I didn't expect it to be so fierce." Yinghui gasped, and the system suddenly buzzed, the fighting energy flows in. The degree of harmony has exceeded 90%, and the energy protection shield module is unblocked. All members' links, absorbing 50%, automatically adapts to light damage. Upgrade is completed. The blue light spreads like a tide, and a thin shield floats on everyone's body, rushing into the skin, and the wound is as tucked as snow melts. Ah Kai touched his arm and said, "Head, this is invincible. That gun just scratched the knife, and it was fine." Xia Ting rubbed his sword and praised his eyes. You not only built a fort, but also became a genius of war. The fog collapsed, and it suddenly ended, and it was done in one go. Yinghui leaned against the wall, and a warm current surged in her heart. When she fell from the duct, she thought that the end of the world was lonely and desperate. Now, the shield not only slammed the penis, but also stolen the division. Li Yi approached and said in a low voice, Yinghui, thank you for believing in me. The dream of technology is not for everyone, but for everyone. If the eternal night is dark, we can highlight the new order. Yes, Yinghui replied, looking at everyone's busy figures, Sister Li's medical capsule, Xiaoming's water supply, Brother Xi's construction outpost. The force has been formed, and more than 20 people are biting. The fuel injection system at the resource point is brighter, and the turret is buzzing. She reflected that human groups are not empty talk, but are fighting in crisis. The Black Wolf's alliance is a cancer, and their fortress is an antidote. Grow. She has become a leader from a survivor, and the war in the brain is like a map. Next step, expand, explore the source of darkness. Outside, the voice is accused of more footsteps, and the new ally signal flashes. Shihui stood straight, prepare for expansion. Li, the outpost network, Xia Ting, training and code. We are not waiting for the enemy to come, this time, we will hit. The blue light reflected on our faces, everyone pointed, the fortress jumped like a heart, and the dark side seemed to have a cracked light. Far away, the growl was still on the same side, but now, it sounds like an invitational drum. Wei Hui's boots stepped on the cracks in the wilderness, and each step was shattered and sniffed in the nose with the decay of eternal night. The outpost car's engine buzzed far away, leaving only the sound like devil's cry. Xia Ting and Li Yi carried light clothes on her back and went deep into the dark side along the blue map guided by the system. This area is a forbidden area southeast of the fortress, with dense red spots on the map, creeping like a nest. Yinghui took a deep breath, and there was a strange buzz in the air, not the wind, but a deeper movement. Guardian, check the location of the nest. She said softly, pressing her hand on the toilet port on her waist. The blue light flashed like a bullet. Predict, small anomaly nest, 1.5 kilometers away. The energy source is strong, suspected to be a alien destruction. Risk level, high. Suggestion, 3-man battle, the detection core is preferred. The sound of the system is in the brain, with a high degree of harmony of up to 90%, making the wisdom feel like it is like the second heart, and the jump is synchronized. Xia Ting carried a sword and opened the way forward. The blade reflected in the darkness, and sweat dripped down the magnitude, mixing into the soil. Head, the wind here is not opposite, as if something is sucking air. Monster's nest? The Black Wolf's helping waist last time said, are you sure you want to? Okay, Yinghui replied, his voice as steady as a rock. The Black Wolf is a human being, and this is the source of heavenly disaster. The system scans the energy waves, and the darkness of the eternal night may start here. Li, what do you think? Li held the toolbox, her steps were light and her eyes flashed under the projection of blue light. I agree. The old records of the laboratory show that the alien energy core can distort the magnetic field and swallow the sunlight. If it is the core of the nest, we smash it, and it may be able to reduce the weakness of the eternal night. Wei, do you feel that your system is high and high? That buzzing, like the heart is beating. Wei pointed her head and felt a tight heart. From the light tower in the fortress to the explorer in this dark depth, she felt an invisible heavy pressure on her shoulders. But this heavy pressure is not a burden, it is a growth fire, no longer waiting for monsters to knock on the door, but actively dig its roots. The wind became bigger, and they roared in a twirl of dark thorns, and their eyes suddenly opened, a collapsed underground entrance, surrounded by moving black vines, like living blood vessels. The air was filled with a pungent sour smell, and the heat waves swayed, and the ground was shaking slightly. Entry confirmation. Internal heat source, 50 anomalies, medium or above. Core energy, alien crystals, abnormal dynamic frequency. System alarm, blue frame locks the entrance. Xia Ting lowly curse, Mom, is this a mouse or a dragon hole? Head, I will go ahead and explore the way. No, together. Yinghui said, activating the shield, the three of them wrapped in blue light, diving in like a ghost. The passage is narrow, the wall is smooth and sticky, and the touch is like rotten flesh. He growled and cried, and his feet were mixed with water droplets. Lui said in a low voice, I hear, there is a silence in front. Is this smart? Can the system scan the core? During the scan, I found it. 50 meters deep, the alien energy core, blue crystal, 2 meters straight. The anomaly rings, guarding the giant beast. Destroying it can interfere with the nest and regenerate. Jinghui's vision opened the blue picture, and his heart beat faster. This is the thread, the source of the eternal night. Alien stuff. The moment she flashed through the road station and collapsed, the sun was as if it was swallowed by ink. Now, she can fight back. They touched the main cavity of the nest. In the dark, their red eyes were like stars, their 50 anomalies curled up, their skin was lit up, and their smell was like a tide in the air. In the center, a blue crystal floats, buzzing like a swarm of bees, shooting out silk energy lines to nourish monsters. The giant guardian zodiac was lying beside the side, 4 meters tall, with a shell like an iron castle, a tail like a whip, and a red-eyed eye locked the invader, and his roar made his eardrums buzz. Invader! Kill! The giant beast roared, its claws hit the ground, and the earth was shattered. The aliens woke up like a tide, and their minions flickered. Xia Ting laughed and his sword slammed out, come on, beast. Head, protect Lei, I'll take the front. His body was like a wind, the blade broke through the first wave of small beasts, the flesh and blood were sprayed, and the smell was pouring on his face, and the fishy smell slammed his brain. Lei retreated, and the toolbox was ding, Huang Hui, the crystal is weak at the base. But the giant beast is shaking the way, so we have to wipe it first. The slim brain is flying, and the system predicts the blue frame flash, the weakness of the giant beast, the soft ribs of the joints. Guardian, super mode. Inject all the crystal nucleus energy and release the storm, she shouted, pressing the port with her hand. The warm current is like a volcano erupting, the system is buzzing and the blue light is magnificent, as if it is wrapped in current. The energy is overloaded, the air is distorted, and the wind pressure in the channel rises sharply. Super confirmation. The storm flow is generated, with a range of 20 meters and a tear force of 100%. The system announced. The squid opens his arms, and the wind-shaped mold sprays out an invisible blade from his backpack, rolling into the nest like a wind. The wind roared, the air was like 1,000 swords, tearing up the group of strange animals, the small monster was rolled up, the limbs were shattered, and the blood was spread, the medium-sized beast was pierced, the claws were grabbed and cut by the wind blade, and the morning sounded like ghosts crying. The giant beast roared, and the shell cracked and the fine wire, but it swung, and its tail slammed and flowed straight into the wind. Head, be careful. Xia Ting shouted, and he grabbed a blow. The sword cracked the spark and flew behind him into the wall, humming. Yinghui gritted her teeth and became angry in her heart, these monsters have swallowed the world, she wants to tear them apart. Certainly super. The storm rose, the air was like a dragon rolling, locking the giant beast link. The wind blade was diamond into the soft ribs, tearing the flesh and blood, the giant beast roared and twisted, the armor shell shattered like glass, and the blue blood sprayed like rain. It stumbled back, its red eyes dimmed, and finally fell to the ground, smashing out of a deep pit, shaking the crystals. The nest was quiet, leaving only the voice and twitching of the zombies. Yinghui gasped, and her post-removal symptoms made her knees soft and her vision blurred, but the corners of her mouth curled up, it feels good. This reverse swept as happy as an electric blade, from being chased to the king of dominating monsters, she felt the power rushing into her heart like a tide. Xia Ting got up and wiped his face with blood, fuck. You are so violent that you are simply the god of death knife. Lei, hurry, crystal. Lei rushed towards the core, and danced with tools. Yinghui, how much energy is left? The giant crystal core is in the chest, dig it out. She pried open the giant cell, and a big blue crystal rolled out with a fist, moving like a heart. The squid is lifted up and injected into the system, intensified, the crystal core absorbs, the wind efficiency is plus 30%, and the energy storm module is unblocked. The warm current flows throughout her body, and she felt a perpetual wind in her body, which was light and refreshed. But the walls of the nest were shaking, and the scattered beasts crawled out of the cracks and rose to approach. Retreat. After the core is broken, the nest will collapse. Xia Ting pulled up Yinghui, Lui grabbed the toolbox, and the three of them ran wildly. The passage collapsed, stone blocks fell like rain, and the soil blew the nose. Lui ran and shouted, Yinghui, this crystal core is not only strengthened, I can modify it. Imagine it, it becomes a handheld wind blade gun, and close-killing attack. Change. But go back alive first. Yinghui replied, and the system knew that the blue frame locked the landslide road, and she led the way. After Xia Ting Hall, the sword turned over the pursuers, hold on. Head, you've just been so superb, you've exploded. From the castle super rat to the pioneer, you've been going smoothly. Wei Wei's heart warmed up, and her heart was so cold, yes, from hiding to swelling, this growth was as fierce as a storm. She no longer fears the darkness, but she drives it. The entrance was in sight, and the landslide was chasing like a beast. Xia Ting pushed them out first, I'll stop. Lui said anxiously, Brother Ting, don't show off. Yinghui, can the system pull him? Yes. Yinghui activated the new module, and the energy storm was released in a small range. The air was like a hand holding Xia Ting and rolling him out of the hole. Rush. The nest collapsed, the storm swept into the sky, and the three of them gasped. The blue crystal is in hand, and the eternal night source headline is obtained, the alien core, which proves that darkness is not nature, but invasion. Return to the fortress, the blue light welcomes us, and everyone is surrounded. Sisterly Duanshui, what are you doing, heads? Those suspects outside say that you are dying in your nest and waste resources. There are several newly recruited survivors in the fort, the engineering gang from the old mine. They just muttered in the logistics area, that woman is so crazy, are you exploring with a team? We finally have a home, so don't lose it. Yinghui stood straight, with blue crystals high, the system buzzed, the nest destroyed, and the alien crystal nucleus was obtained. The certificate was uploaded, the energy wave declined by 5%, and the surrounding anomalies were weakened. The projection was opened, and the nest collapsed screen was played, and the moment when the wind stormed the giant beasts, it made people breathe in a storm. Quasi-Hanzi glared, this is impossible. A scene of wind tore the king-level monster. Maybe, Yinghui sneered, slapping her face as refreshing as a wind blade. When you are suspicious, we are digging the roots. The eternal night source is the core of the alien. If you smash one, the darkness will be weaker. Who still wants to hide? The fortress is not a tomb, but a starting point. Hanzi lowered his head, his eyes turned from suspicion to awe, head, we are wrong. Follow you, it's worth it. Li laughed loudly, and when the scene was modified, the crystal core was embedded with a screw knife, the blue light rolled into a wind blade and shot, and a blast blade cut off the iron tube, clean and neat. It's done. Yinghui, this weapon is yours, the exploration artifact. Xia Ting Wei Hang, be stunned, I'm so excited. Xia Ting patted his shoulder, the storm of the head is fierce. The team is so vigilant that no one can stop it. Yinghui held the gun, feeling the strength as if she was using her fingers, and her inner heart changed. From the fortress guard to the dark pioneer, she was ready to explore the source. The upgrade of the fortress was started, and the blue light was prosperous, the wall extended into multi-layered new year, the farmland was expanded, the weapon database was connected to the outpost, and the surrounding signals were flooded. New experts, physicists and geologists, came in the dark. Did you hear there are alien cables? We join. The new shape is formed, the lights are like a galaxy, and the resources are buzzing. Yinghui looked at the edge, and the system said in a low voice, the new nest detects, the scale is larger. Allies ask, joint attack. She clicked, and the wind blade shot in her hand, let's go. Eternal night, we're here. Outside, there were blue light cracks in the growl, like a response call. Standing on the console of the new year, the blue light projection spreads like a galaxy, and the surrounding nests have become much more bleak. The hot source signals of new allies have gathered into green clusters, making the castle like a living beehive, and the buzzing birds are endless. The wind blows from the scent of the wind, scenting the green leaves of the chaotic farmland, mixed with the faint metal smell of the weapon library. She rubbed her eyebrows, and the exploration of last night was still there, and the handle of the wind blade gun was warm, as if the system was reminding her, don't relax. It's good not to be able to hold on, Yinghui replied, feeling slightly relaxed. From the nest, she felt that she had changed, no longer the screws on the tract, but this dark tread. But the system's low words interrupted Ning. Anomaly detection, internal hot source signal fluctuations, suspected internal raids were exposed. Target, new ally Project Hanzi, communication records point to the southwest enemy force. Risk level, medium. Prediction, destroy the system port and invade the enemy. The heart of Yinghui sinks, like a wall falling into an ice cave. A traitor? Those doubters just lowered their heads, how about? She looked at the new physicist Chen Zheng leaned his waist to build a circuit, his eyes were flashing, and his sweat was dripping too frequently. Guardian, lock the position and don't be surprised. She lowered her voice, and the blue frame quietly surrounded old Chen's steps. He was walking towards the weapon warehouse, his waist was bulging. Sister Hui, come and see the new crop. Xiaowei ran over and held a handful of quick-growing leaves, green and moist. But Yinghui held his hand. Wait, Xiaowei, go call Xiating and Lu Yi. The fortress is troubled. Xiaowei blinked and turned around and trotted, her pace was as fast as the wind. Wei Hui followed the old man's shadow, stepped on the metal floor and broke into a fine shatter. She flew in her brain, if the rapist destroys the port, we will be blind as soon as the enemy comes. Don't panic, you have to keep it in hand. The old Chen slipped into the weapon library and creaked. He took out a small device from his waist, a signal adapter, a red flash, and was facing the stent. What are you fucking? Yinghui pushed the door in, her voice as cold as a knife. The blue shield automatically wraps around, and the wind blade gun is buzzing and waiting to be launched. Old Chen was startled and turned around and his face turned pale. Head, I'm working on things. You are so awesome about the monster's nest, but we all have to leave a way out. The back. Yinghui approached, and the system projected the message log. Lao Qin sent a message last night. The weak point of the fortress is at the port, and the system is explosive after being overloaded. Come and kill, all the fuel will be left to you. Lao Qin knelt on his legs and said, give up. Black wolf is food and women, my family has old and young, and I have a belly in the mine. Yang Hui, you fell from the sky, build a fortress like a carcass, our mud legs are counted as a day of life. Worry? Yinghui smiled suddenly, and a fire surged in her heart. She used her life to change her harmony and the new year of the sweat, which is called sweep. Then you go to the black wolf to play. She kicked the signal and the red light shattered like glass. Xiating and Lu Yi rushed in. Xiating's sword was unsheathed, his eyes were like a wolf, insider. I've long seen you're not in a match, so my eyes were flying when I was training. Lu Yi squatted down and squeezed the fragments, browsing. This is the encryptor of the old mine, the mark of the Black Wolf Alliance. Lu Hui, fortunately the system warns first, otherwise the port will explode and our defense lines will collapse. Old Chin shivered, don't kill me. The Black Wolf is coming with a team of more than 50 people, with heavy artillery modifications, and a bunch of rocket launchers. He said that you women's leader is a paper tiger, and you're not going to be able to fight until now. System ding, external threat confirmation, the enemy is approaching, the distance is 2 kilometers. The firepower is strong, and the leader of the leader is in trouble. War advice, activate the monitoring network and set up a layer trap. Yinghui pointed at the head, and decided to make an inner determination, the internal traitor is clear, and the external enemy is coming. This time, she will not hide anymore, she wants the black wolf to know that even the bad guy can bite the wolf's throat. Xia, I've beat him and kept the logistics area in check. Lu Yi, optimize the monitoring network, add response and fog network. All the staff are alert, Ah Kai takes the patrol team to the outpost, Sister Li guards the farmland. Yinghui pointed, and the sound of the mirror was like a military order. Everyone started moving, their steps were in a messy and orderly manner. Xia dragged the old man away and said to Yinghui in a low voice, Head, you have become cruel. You have been hesitant since before, but now your eyes are as steady as a gun. It's worth my death with you. He patted her shoulders, his palms were rough and powerful, and the smell of nitrazone made Yinghui feel warm. Loyalty is not empty words, it is this kind of eyes. Li dances with her fingers, and monitors the buzzer upgrade, the antenna extends like a touching hand, and the blue light net covers the surroundings, hiding the lightning area. It's done. Now the enemy will bite the net. Yinghui, I added your storm module. The fog can bring an arc and the contactor is paralyzed. Innovate and prevent it, and change from passive to active. Outside, the sound of the horses and the killings came, and the alliance of the Black Wolf was like a black tide, more than 50 people, the motorcycle was modified into an armored car, the bazooka was loaded, and the flames were flashed. The Black Wolf was riding on the head of the car, his cheeks bearded like a steel brush, and his gun pointed at the sky and laughed, Little bitch whore. Hearing that you smashed the nest, are you good at being in good health? I, Black Wolf, brought my brothers, and your system, women, and resources, all of you. Kneel down and take the fortress, and you are a concubine. Wei Hui stood at the top of the new year, and the enemy was clear in the blue light projection, the weak point was on the side wing motorcycle, and the firepower was concentrated. She sneered and pressed the panel below, Guardian, start with all your might. Generate a defense force field, covering the surrounding area of the fortress, and the reverse mode is 100%. The system is buzzing, and the blue light rushes out like a tide, and the force field rises, the top of the translucent dome, the movement is like a heart, and the air is buzzing, and it is hunched in the ground with a sway. The enemy rushed up the ramp, and the Black Wolf shouted, Open the fire. Blow up their shells. The rocket launcher was flying, and the artillery fire was coming like rain. The fire tail broke through the darkness and swayed the surface. The Zibo hit the force field, emitted a sizzling arc, and the red light shattered, the rocket shot straight into the dome, and it was like it hit an invisible lens, and it bounced out. The artillery fire flew backwards and headed straight to the enemy, a rocket exploded over the Black Wolf's side motorcycle, the fireball exploded, screaming everywhere, more than a dozen people were rolled into the sea of fire, the flesh were burning and smelling, the rain retaliated, the gunmen killed each other, and the blood fog sprayed like rain. What the hell? The Black Wolf glared, his face turned blue, and the car was in a hurry, and the tire rubbed out the black smoke. Impossible. This force scene is reversed. He slammed his gun, but the force scene was like an iron wall, and the artillery fire was blown back, and the enemy's main force collapsed in an instant. More than 20 people fell to the ground and mourned the rock, the armored carts rolled and hit the rock, the explosion was connected, and the fire illuminated the twisted face. Xia laughed and rushed out of the side wing outpost, Head, ox. I'll kill all these wastes. Ah Ka's iron pipe danced, smashing the enemy's gun, Li's arc of fog sprayed out, and the touching man twitched and fell to the ground, numb and whipped. The Black Wolf retreated, covered in blood on his face, and the mocking turned into a roar, Oh my god. This system is an alien ghost thing, which will retaliate against you sooner or later. But Yinghui rushed down to the ground, and the wind blade shot and shot himself. Oh my god! Your arrogant face was gone. She shot out, and the blade rolled like a dragon, and took the black wolf to ride. The car body tore apart. He climbed up and pointed at Yinghui. You woman. Ziyan flew over, but was knocked by the force, and rubbed against his shoulders, and blood was released. The black wolf screamed, and the alliance soldiers scattered. His wolf fled, his back was like a dog, this hatred. I remember. I won't scold you in eternal night. The battle ended quickly, the ramp was swollen everywhere, and the flames scattered. Yinghui breathed, her strength subsided, and her body energy receded like a tide, but the corners of her mouth curled up. It's great to apply a face. From being ridiculed to being killed, this reversal is like a force. She is unfaithful, arrogance. Go to him, eternal night teach me, so I started, and strength is the king. System ding, the fighting energy flows in. The degree of harmony exceeds 95%, and the resource doubling function is unlocked. Injected into the alien crystal nucleus, the castle expansion starts, automatic synthetic alloy, purified water source, crop acceleration. Turn on the attack mode to generate a forward whistle tower. The blue light bursts, and the wind swells like a living creature, the wall extends for 100 meters, the green waves of the farmland roll, the leaves grow like bamboo after rain, the resource warehouse is humming, the fuel tank is automatically filled, and the pool is gurgling like a stream. The stimulus of the castle was synchronized with the heartbeat. The new tower rose from the ground, the muzzle was turned, and the monitoring network was like a spider-shaped spider to 20 kilometers. Extension is completed. Force range plus 50%, automatic patrol unblocking without humans. Way, turn on, target, black wolf slaughtering nest. Yinghui clamped his fists and felt calm in his heart. Reconstruction is not a dream, from defense to attack, this belief is as unscathed as blue light. Eternal night swallowed the old world, she wanted to build a new order, start from the fortress, and push it to the source of darkness. On the team, Xia Ting rubbed his sword, his eyes were full of heat. Head, don't explode. The arrogant ghost of the black wolf is now a joke. I thank Ting, I came here from the army, recognize your sister, recognize this family. Death is determined. He patted his chest, sounded the sound of the mirror, carrying the iron blood of the soldiers, making his wise eyes warm. Loyalty is as good as a shield, holding the lonely one. Lui held the new monitoring module and smiled and said, Yinghui, my network has been upgraded. With the added feeling of double, now we can predict enemy paths, and also innovate the invisible unmanned machine and wind blade module. We are not careful in defense, we attack. Imagine that the fortress is like moving a city, flattening the surroundings and attracting more people. Sister Li came to the medical capsule, and Akai and the others pointed, Head, we hear you. The insider is scary, but you know it, the fortress is even more iron. Xiaoming hugged his legs, Sister, can you add more dishes after the slimming? Give them a gift. Yinghui smiled and touched Xiaoming's head, yes. All members will rest, and they will come out to the black wolf's nest tomorrow. The force is solid, from 20 to 50, we are the fire of darkness. The light of the new light is warm and yellow, everyone disperses, laughing and buzzing. Yinghui looked at the edge, and the system whispered, new signal, the blue light source far away, the energy fluctuates strongly. Joint allies request access. Outside, there were still footsteps in the wind, and a new group of survivors came in the dark, but deeper, growling like thunder, indicating a greater storm. The smart and intelligent vision moved from the blue light projection of the new year, and the new steps in the voice became closer and closer, like a group of tired shadows piercing in the darkness. She took a deep breath, and the air was mixed with the greenery of the farm and the fishy smell of the soil from the distance. She turned to Xia Ting and Lui and said, the new allies are here, please come in first. The blue light source head of the system cannot be delayed. Tomorrow morning, we will form a remote team and head straight to the deep northeast. The energy wave is too strong, like the heart of Yongye. Xia Ting pointed his head, and his sword swayed at his waist, and he gave a light comment, "Okay, I'll pick people with you. Old friends such as Kai and Li must be here." The new physicist Lao Wang is fine, he understands the energy field. He can't always go out, so he keeps half of the carriage. Lui raised her head from the monitoring network, and the tools he still held his hand and his face was covered in oil. "I'll go with me." The outpost is connected to the system, which can scan it in real time. But after 95% of the degree of harmony, the guards upgraded to the prediction module, multiple crisis warnings. There will be ambush on the road, and there will be humans. The energy consumption is high, and the crystal core is well prepared. The new year opened, and a new group of survivors rushed in, 10 figures wrapped in rags, leading a tall and thin woman, carrying an old backpack, and her eyes flashing in the blue light. "I am Zhao Min, who escaped from the old port. We heard that there was a fortress built by the queen here. After the monster tide, the port was completely destroyed. Is the exchange report coming in?" Yinghui swept them and quickly analyzed the system blue frame. "No threat, specialists disperse, doctors, robots. Welcome. For information on changing resources, drink a sip of purified water first. Zhao Min, do you understand the port terrain? Will you go to the northeast tomorrow, join?" Zhao Min was stunned for a moment, took the water cup, poured it down, and cleared it straight into her heart. "Northeast? That black fog area? Monster King's nest. Okay, let's follow. Port information, there are alien slaughter in the depths, the energy field distorts the air, and the sun is swallowed." Yinghui's heart was tightened, and she flashed alone. "The truth is close, from the gravel in the nest to the source, this Ruth uses his life." But she smiled and said, "Okay, prove yourself." There are 20 people in the far-flying team. Xia Ting chooses Lei's accessories. Go to bed, Yongye will not wait for anyone. The next day, the morning light of the system made the new year light up warm yellow. The remote team gathered. The outpost car was about to be launched, and the unmanned machine was buzzing. Xia Ting divided the wind blade gun and shield module. Akai and others checked the medicine, but the lens sounded unstoppable. Yinghui stood on the head of the car, with a storm on the surface, and a roaring in a huddle. "I heard that this is not a walk, but a digging of the roots of eternal night. There are many dangers, but we have systems and teams. Who retreats, who will swell, who will split up the garden?" Everyone pointed at the head, their eyes were hot, and Zhao Min lowered his voice to the doctor around him. "This woman is not as stable as a mountain like a fellow traveler." The team set out. The outpost car crushed the wilderness, the wheels crunched and fell into cracks, the air was filled with black fog, and the vision was blurred as ink. Lui controlled the car. "The first crisis for the system predicts, ambushing the galaxy, southeastern ramp, in the scale. The energy field interferes, the signal of the unmanned machine is weak." Yinghui held the wind blade and the gun was tightly lit by the blue light, and the buzzing bird was like a heartbeat. "Slow down, walk. But do not be careless if you predict multiple times." Before the voice was finished, the ground was shaking, and the roar was like thunder. The black fog rolled over on both sides of the ramp, and the anomalies were scattered out, 30 medium-sized, with skin swelling and black thorns, and red-eyed locked teams, like a hungry wolf pack. The head is a big mother's beast, the belly is bulging like a dream, the tail slams the rocks, and the debris flew and smashed the top of the car, causing a slight sensation. Ambushes. "Xia Ting, the front guard is holding." Yinghui shouted, and the system alarm was harsh. "Female Cyclops, reproductive type, weak spots are hidden in the abdomen. Crisis is upgraded, human heat sources are mixed in, suspected of traitors." The team was in trouble, the newcomer screamed, and Xi Ting was in trouble. The anomalies came, and their claws grabbed the car, scratching out sparks, and the smell of fishy blood spread. Xia Ting rushed out and the sword flicked. "Brothers, don't panic." Kai left wing, Sister Li right, and Zhao Min guarded. He was like a leopard, his blade slashed a slight beast's head, and the heated blood sprayed on his face, sticking to the burner. "Come on, beast. I thank Ting, bloody team." A slut slammed his backhand pierced his abdomen, and his brain flowed out like black mud, but the other claws slapped his arms, and the flesh and blood were torn, which made him hum and gritted his teeth and held his teeth. Yinghui, Li, repair the equipment. These bastards can't hold it. Lui crawled out of the car, slammed the toolbox, knelt on the ground to repair the outpost turret. The anomaly just broke the rotation, and the arc was shattered. Hold on. The turn has been broken, it will be fixed in 2 minutes. She danced with her fingers, the welding gun was sizzling, the sweat-mixed oil dripped, and the metal-burning smell in the air swollen nose. Akai's iron tube smashed over and shouted, "Sister Lu, hurry up. This mother's beast is spitting out a little monster." The mother's beast's belly cracked, and more than 10 young beasts were slashed out, biting his legs like a small shadow, screaming and chaotic. The blue frame in the brain flashed wildly, and the high degree of harmony made her realize that the mother's instinct was weak in the abdominal nucleus, but the darkness was hidden. Guardian, upgrade the purified beam. Full power, illuminate the nest. She rode the top of the car, and the wind blade shot towards the sky. The system was super buzzing, and the energy rushed in like a tide. Blue light bursts, a pure beam of light like a sun fragment, piercing the black fog and illuminating the ramp for 100 meters. The darkness faded away, the red eyes of the anomaly were exposed, and the crystal nucleus on the abdomen of the mother's abdomen was flickered, hiding weaknesses and hiding without any trace. It's now. Yinghui roared, the beam was locked, and the wind blade gun shot out. The air blade fused light waves, directly hitting the abdominal core. Rush. The light blade is like a diamond, the mother's stomach is called twisting, the abdomen is exploded, the blue blood is like a spring, the young beasts twitch and fall to the ground, the nest is full of black thorns withered. The strange beasts were scattered, the military collapsed, and they fled in all directions. Yinghui breathed and fell to the ground, and the pleasure of control came to her heart. From the ambushed treasure to the controller of the mother who defeated her, this growth was as dazzling as a beam of light. Xia Ting walked over with blood, his arms were damaged and blood flowed like a rush, and he smiled, "Head, your light, the star of eternal night. My team is worth it." Lui repaired the fort and jumped up and clapped her hands, "It's done." Yanghui, you're high and high are the systems hearing like an arm. Continue to move forward, but the human heat source. The new man at the end of the team, Wang Er, the signal monster. Yanghui turned around, and the blue frame was locked. Wang Er, a new ally, the Project Hanzi, was in a hurry. He was still gunless when he was ambushing, and his eyes were hiding, and he was sliding towards the rear of the car. Parking. Wang Er, what are you fucking? Wang Er was furious, and the signal fell out of his waist, and the red light flashed. Head, I haven't. But the system projection popped up the record. He sent a message to the Black Wolf fighting party, the long-distance team route, ambushed the ramp and directly took the source head. The inside is in chaos and easy to break out. On the team, Akai roared, "Traitor! I believe you newcomers, are you the mother-selling team?" Xia Ting's knife erected, his bloody face was as cold as iron. Say. What is the Black Wolf? In the eternal night, the ghost is more cruel than the monster. Wang Er knelt down and shivered, "Don't live. The Black Wolf caught my sister and said that she was expeditioning for information and changing people. I thought ambush could delay, but as soon as your light beam came out, it would be destroyed. I was wrong, Queen Yinghui, please." Yinghui stared at him, Feng Sha slapped his face, and his heart thrust, "Is it a bright collar or a kill?" But she remembered her desperate look when she fell from the trunk and took a deep breath. "Get up. Wang Er, where is your sister?" "Black Wolf's nest, we will save it. But now I dare to betray you again, and I will kill you with my hands." She stretched out her hand and pulled him up, her eyes as broad as a queen. Wang Erwei was like a garlic. "Thank you, Queen. All the love is for you." The Black Wolf Tibetan Southwest Ruins, the 50 party, heavy artillery ambushed the source head road. The team relaxed their voices. Zhao Min lowered his voice. "Yinghui, you have done this, to resolve internal troubles, and you will not be punished, who is not convinced. Xia Ting put away his knife and patted Wang Er's shoulder. Boy, please punish him. I will protect the team in blood, you will give him peace. Lui smiled, the team is stable. Shall we? Your style is as tolerant as a system, and has upgraded people's hearts. After a crisis, the team advanced, the black fog became more dense, and the air was buzzing like electricity. System ding, the source is approaching. Energy field confirms, alien invasion remains, distorted magnetic field swallowing the sunlight, forming eternal night. Core, giant crystal celestial, which can reversibly turn local darkness. Yinghui's eyes lit up, and the projection opens blue picture, a broken tower building deep, the crystal circumference is like a heart, and the surrounding anomalies are servo, but the light beam is weakly exposed. The truth is an alien invasion. It's not a disaster, it's a war. If we smash it, the sun can get back a little. The team was full of energy, and Kai fist, queen, fuck. Starting from the fortress to the head of the smashing source, this is worth it. Xia Ting Bao Wu hurt his mouth and smiled, blood is not wasteful. Yinghui, with you, what is eternal night? Lui adjusted the uninhabited opportunity, the team is more tight, Wang Er's situation is blessed with the blessing of the success rate of 90%. But predicting the final crisis, crystal guarding, giant beasts. Prepare for impulse. The outpost car accelerated, the profile of the tower building in the wind sand was revealed, and the blue cracks were like a wound flash. Wei Hui held the gun and felt determined in her heart, 75% of the road passed, from isolation to the queen, this group was like a beam of light, illuminating the final conflict. Far away, the roar was like a tide, the Black Wolf's artillery was hidden, the eternal night source was waiting for their storm. The blazing gun was still buzzing, and the blue light surging made the air smell of a clear electric smell. She stood at the top of the outpost car, looking at the visibly moving blue crack in the tower, her heart was beating like a drum. The sound of the far-fighting team's footsteps mixed in the black fog. Although Xia Ting's wound had stopped bleeding, the smell of blood was still pungent. Wang Er followed the team with a messy look. Zhao Min's story of comforting his sister in a low voice, the Black Wolf's nest is indeed hidden around the source, tied with monsters, and relied on the energy of the alien crystal to fight the alliance. Yinghui took a deep breath, and the smoke was like ice pounding her lungs, return to New Year. The truth is close, but the bastard, Black Wolf, will not sit and wait. We have to prepare for the final try. The road back was uneven, the outpost car was shaking across the rift, the unmanned aircraft buzzed and scanned, and occasionally a few leaking net anomalies were blown open, and the flames shone on the team's faces. Lui adjusted the projection in the car. Yinghui, the crystal of the source head is large in scale, and it guards not only giant beasts, but also twisted energy field. The Black Wolf's artillery signal is strong, he must have settled in the source head. The monster in the joint force wants to swallow our full strength. Xia Ting finished his arms and spit out blood foam, that arrogant ghost thinks that if he holds the monster's thighs, he will be invincible. I have been bleeding so many times, and I have wanted to kill him. Head, are the resources left in New Year? Allies are scattered around and need to be integrated. Wei Wei pointed her head and her heart sank. Starting from the fortress, to more than 50 people now, this force spreads like a vine, but the roots of Yongya are still biting people. Just. Zhao Min, your port's robotics and doctors, take over the logistics. Wang Er, start with the information network. Li, the system is 95%, upgraded to core AI, can it be unified? Li's eyes lit up, and the toolbox lit up, yes. The crystal core slag injected into the source, plus Wang Er's mind map, can it become a brain? Prediction, guidance, automatic defense, and integrated. As New Year arrives, blue light comes like a tide, and the crops on the farm have grown into green waves, and the resource database is invincible. New allies, fish, came in, Zhao Min and others unloaded their backpacks, and the air was filled with the fresh and pure smell of water. Sister Li brought the hot soup, boiled with fast-growing algae, salty and fragrant nose. Hey, come back. The black fog outside is as thick as ink. Do you hear a big scent in the source? Yinghui explained briefly, and Wang Er knelt down and apologized. Queen, my sister is in the hands of the Black Wolf, I hear you all. Everyone exchanged their eyes, no one was doubtful anymore, and the group bonded like blue light. Move. Shihui slapped the table and sounded the mirror. Lei, upgrade the system. Xia Ting, select elite troops and train the team. I integrate resources and cover the alliance around the border. New York was hot, and his footsteps were in a messy and orderly manner. Li went straight to the console, injected the crystal core, and the blue light was prosperous, and the buzzing bird was like a heartbeat. Guardian, fusion mode. Core AI is activated, set the intelligence and power, and the entire network is unified. The system's sound became more fluid, and it was gentle and powerful like an old friend. Fusion was completed. AI core line, 100% prediction accuracy, automatically optimize resource circulation, and unlock the giant anti-tower module. The energy is loaded and ready to fight. The blue frame in the brain is expanded, like the second field is opened, and the entire New Year's movement is at the controllable level, farm water level, weapon medicine, and allies hot source, without any chance at a glance. She whispered, good partner, from the wind system to the AI, you accompany me from the iron coffin to this. A warm current surged in her heart. Growth is not just about doing alone, it is about dancing with technology. Lu Yi was not idle. She summoned Xiaomin's robot and Wang Er and dragged out the metal fragments and fuel barrels of the resource warehouse. Giant anti-tube, get up. The base is filled with alloy, 30 meters high, with a multi-tube air cannon on the top, and connect to the AI network. Ding ding sounded and shook the weld gun, and the sweat mixed oil dripped on the ground. The tower body rose like a steel bone, stretched its arms in the humming turtle, and the muzzle turned like a giant beast's mouth. Lu Yi wiped her sweat and laughed, it's done. This tower not only protects itself, but also can storm it, with a range of 1 kilometer. Wei, try shooting. With his hand pressing on the AI panel, a blue light was shot out, and the wind was like a storm swept through the experiment area, dead branches and gravels flew, and the air was instantly fresh. Perfect. Li, your handicraft, from assistant to architect, this tower is your dream. Li red face, the dream of the team. If the night is darker forever, this tower is our spine. Xia Ting shouted in the training area, and 20 elite troops, Ah Kai, Sister Li, Zhao Min, Wang Er and others, sweated like rain. The military sword, iron pipe flashing, and the sound of the slam is, speak. The Black Wolf is in contact with the monsters, the artillery fire and the minions, it is fierce. But we have towers and AIs, don't panic when fighting in the near future, and start with the weak. Ah, you left flashing, Wang Er, you will start with the punishment. Wang Er gritted his teeth and shot the gun, and acted fiercely, Brother Ting, I will not retreat. Xia Ting pointed and patted his shoulder, good. I have come here from the army to teach you to protect your family. The storm of the head is a long attack, and we are the tip of the knife. The wise patrols and the heart is as stable as a rock, from scattered soldiers to elites, this training is like tempering, allowing them to transform from survivors into warriors. She integrates resources and contacts around the cover, fuel in the old warehouse, medical care in the port, and information and manpower. The force expanded to hundreds of people, and the wind was like a steel castle, and the lights illuminated the edges of the wilderness. Suddenly, the AI police harshly said, the final crisis is confirmed. The enemy is against the Alliance Black Wolf Fighting Party, 50 heavy artillery team, the tide of the monsters with a scale of 300, medium and large mixed. Attack route, multifaceted jagging, distance of 1 kilometer. Forecast, in-depth attack in 10 minutes. War advice, activate full defense, and guide the target. The ground was shaking, and the roar was like a thunderous ripple, and the shadows in the black fog were stormed, monsters tied forwards, medium-sized anomalies minions, Black Wolf's armored carts behind, and rocket launchers loaded. The Black Wolf's roar came through a message, Queen Yinghui. Ha! The paper castle built by the Lord, I have joined forces with the Monster King, the artillery fire and the stranger, swallowed you. Kneel down on the system, and you are a slave. Yinghui sneered, climbing the top of the giant tower, with a skewed face, and stinking, arrogant ghost, last time he ran like a dog, this time he died? Start with all his might. Elite team, front line to catch the cannon fire, Lei, tower cannon help. Xia Ting shouted, go up. Maintain the tower. The team rushed out, the iron pipe soldiers danced with swords, Ziyao collided with claws, flesh and blood flew, and mourning numbers rose everywhere. Monsters were coming in a tide, red eyes were like sea of fire, claws grabbed the ground and slammed the dust, and blood was like tide in the air. It's a little bit cool. Yinghui shouted and pressed the AI panel, amplify the air and purify the storm. Full power, lock the front line. The system buzzed, the giant tower muzzle opened, and the energy was like a volcano spray. The storm takes shape, the blue gust wind slid into the wilderness, covering an area of 1 kilometer, and the air pressure collapses into thousands of blades. The monster's front was rolled up like straw, the limbs of medium-sized anomalies were torn, and the blood fog exploded like smoke, the large animal roared, and the armor shell was cut by the wind blade, and the soil fell into the inside, and the burnt smell spread. The Black Wolf's artillery fire shot into the storm, backing the armored cart, the fireball exploded, and more than 20 swept into iron coffins, screaming and resounding, impossible. What about monsters? Ah! The battle reversed, the monster tide collapsed, the front line was cleared by 100 meters, and the elite troops took advantage of the situation to fight back. Xia Ting laughed, and his sword flipped over the slaughter and said, head, bull. Brothers, chase. Kai's iron tube smashed the enemy's gun, Wang Er grabbed a rocket, and roared like a sin, be the queen. Yinghui was so excited, from being surrounded to the master, this reversal was as refreshing as a black fog. But the Black Wolf suddenly broke out, and more than 10 people shot him heavily to protect him and rushed to the base of the tower. The Black Wolf gun pointed at Yinghui, what's the point of being Storm? I'll kill you. Under Jinghui's snatch, the wind blade gun flashed, come on, arrogant ghost. When the war broke out, she flicked away from the rocket, and the gun shot over the arms, and blood was sprayed like a spring. The Black Wolf came, his fist was like a iron, mocking, women are the leader, and they are laughing forever. When the system backfires, you cry. AI silly, the crisis is locked. The harmony is full, the unlocking ultimate mode, energy fusion, the host and core AI. Injected into the alien crystal nucleus with omnipotence, lasting for 5 minutes. Execution. Yinghui gritted her teeth and said, execution. The blue light burst out, her whole body was wrapped in blue flames, her vision was infinitely expanded, and she knew it was like a god. The wind blade gun changes shape, fuses AI movement, and forms a bulge, buzzing like thunder. The Black Wolf was gunning, and the sun was as bright as rain, but the body was as bright as wind, and he knew that he would avoid it, and every step was like dancing. In her mockery, her heart changed, from an isolated engineer to an unfair leader. At this moment, the darkness of the eternal night was like paper in her eyes. Arrogant? Go to death. She thrust the light sword straight into the Black Wolf's chest, and the energy blade was like a diamond, tearing open his armor and sealing his throat. The blood fountain was blowing, the Black Wolf stared at him, and the blood foam in his mouth. You cannot. The corpse fell to the ground, collapsed, and scattered mourning. Finally, the extreme pattern fades, and the wisdom falls breathing, and the heart is reborn. If you fail, it is not an enemy, but a belief is like a sword. The elite team shouted, and Xia Ting ran over and said, head, a wolf killer. We win. Lui shouted from the tower, the monster tide is receding, and the Black Wolf killing party is fully destroyed. After the war, clean up the enemy like autumn winds. AI has no human opportunity to sweep, elite troops harvest resources, and heavy artillery fuel is in full swing. The power version of the picture is expanded, and the surrounding covers are all in. 100 people have changed to 300. The fortress has formed a network, and the blue light illuminates the wilderness for hundreds of miles. At the top of the tower, the crack in the source head was larger, and the sun was invisible with lightness. Eternal night, we are here. Rebuilding a new order starts here. In the wind, he growled away, but the blue light was like a star, indicating the final battle. Yinghui stood at the top of the giant tower, with the wind whipping her face like a whip. The blue crack at the far-reaching source was like a scar, moving in the eternal night. She took a deep breath, and the air was filled with the smell of blood and scorched earth. She turned to the team under the building and shouted, Shi Ting, Lu Yi, Ah Kai, Sister Li, Zhao Min, Wang Er. The core team gathered. This is the last try, directly hitting the source. New York stayed with Lao Chen and others to guard, and AI was monitored by the entire network. Who followed? Xia Ting wiped the sword, and the black wolf's blood was still left on the blade. He grinned, I lead the way. From the army to the eternal night, this battle is worth it. Head, are you sitting behind the town? Lui pulled out of the console, and the backpack was filled with tools and crystal core modules, and her eyes were as bright as blue light. Me and the cracking of alien technology depends on me. Weird, AI predicts that the source head energy field will distort the space, don't be careless. There were 10 people in the core team, riding upwards of the upscale outpost and 2 modified motorcycles, and the buzzing engine was like a roar, rushing out of the new year. The black fog in the wilderness was even more dense, and the wheels were crushed over the cracked soil, creaking and shaking. The air was buzzing like a network, and the skin was stinging. Yinghui sat and drove, pressed the AI port with his hand, and opened the blue frame in the field. The Guardian predicts the route. The weak points of the energy core, the base crystal, which can be sealed when broken. But the layer Guardian is the elite level of the alien, environmental crisis, magnetic storm and black fog poison. Half an hour ahead of the team, the mist was like a living creature, and there were only a few meters left in the field. Suddenly, the ground shook and the roared low like thunder. The first level Guardian appears, 20 elite beasts, scattered out of the fog, like a twisted giant wolf, with a furious skin and armored shell lights up, claws digging the ground to create an electric arc, and red eyes lock the team. Ambushes. Xia Ting, come on. Yinghui shouted, and the AI policeman was harsh, magnetic storm is about to occur, interfering with electronics by 20%. Warfare, in the near-war Qing dynasty, the long-distance wind blade helps. Xia Ting took off the motorcycle, and his sword was like a flash, brothers, chop with me. These beasts are hard but soft. He fell into the fog, and the first knife cut off the forelimbs of an elite beast. The blue blood was sprayed like rain, pouring on his face, and the smell penetrated his nose. The monster roared and repelled, its claws swept, its wind was like a knife, and its body was flashed on the side, and its blade was stabbed in the back, and its bones were cracked and brittle. Great head, these bastards have electricity, don't touch them head on. Ah Kai's iron tube hit the belly, Sister Li shot a gun, ZG diamond into her red eyes, and the monster's morning number flipped. Yinghui activates the wind blade gun, the air blade whirls out, cuts the mist, and turns the back row of the beasts. Hold. Lei scans the weak spots. Lei knelt on the side of the car, the tool connected to the unmanned machine, and the blue light swept over. It's done. The elite beast crystal core is on the spine. Xia Ting, aim that. Xia Ting laughed, the sword light flashed, the 3 elite beasts fell to the ground, and the crystal core rolled out. Hold. Shi Ting, injected into the system. Yinghui picked up, and the warm current penetrated into the AI, energy plus 15%. Keep moving forward. Environmental crisis comes one after another, the black fog is as thick as ink, poisonous air enters the lungs, and coughs start to sound. The magnetic storm exploded, the air was twisted, the car lights were uncertain, and the outpost engine was shaking like a cough. Poisonous fog. AI, the purification mode is fully opened. Jinghui ordered the car to spray blue fog through the wind vent, which dissipates the poisonous fog, and is as clear as a mountain. Everyone gasped, and Wang Erdi said to her face, "Queen, you will feel so anxious if you take a breath of this fog. If it weren't for your system, the entire army would have been covered." Zhao Min pointed, "At the port, we relied on the cloth to cover our faces and half of the team died." The second level of guarding is even more powerful. The passage is narrow, the rock wall is full of black veins like blood vessels, 30 animals are waiting for the rabbit, medium-sized elites are mixed with large tails are like whips to rock, and gravels are flying to smash the top of the car, and the thunder are connected. Xia Ting opened the way, and his sword was stained with blood. These big blocks are weak under the belly. Ah, left flash. He lifted up and stabbed into the large beast's belly with a knife. The inside was like a black mud wall. The monster's roar was deafening, and his tail swept. He shook his mouth and avoided it. The soil was blocking his mouth bitterly. The passage collapsed. Lei, find the way. Lei projected the blue picture, dancing with her fingers. Alien technology is left behind, the telescope is the energy line. It is broken, it is done. Cut the left wall telescope, the channel is opened. She welded the gun, the blue arc jumped, the telescope broke, the rock wall cracked, and the new road was broken, and the heat waves were like fire. The squid shield wrapped around his body, and the wind blade shot the air blade cleared the road. Shi Ting, hold on. The monster was tied, the minions were incorrect, the flesh and blood smelled mixed with electric smell, the team was bleeding forward, Akai's legs were rubbed, and the blood was gritting his teeth. For the family, fight. Finally, the source nest is reflected in the eyes, a broken alien tower building, the giant crystal bulging blue light on the base, 10 meters in length, and the energy waves twist the air, like an invisible vortex swallowing everything. The guardian around appeared, the 5-headed ultimate elite beast, 5 meters tall, armored shells like blue iron, red eyes like blood moon, and roars that made the ground crack and the deep pit break. In the black fog, the monsters are rushing with hundreds of heads, and the energy field is buzzing like thunder. The guardian starts. Weird, core weakness, hiding cracks under the base, injecting anti-energy vents can be sealed. But the guardian has 100 fence, and the crisis is extremely high. AI low words. The heart of Suihui was tightened, and she was afraid of being like a black fog. This is the root of the eternal night, from the perspective of the spiral when it fell, isolation, ignorance, and monsters swallowing the world. But she held the sword tightly and the gun was so cold that she was, fear? Go to him. I am the queen, this team is my light. The whole team listened. Xia Ting opened his way, and Lui cracked the energy field, Akai and Sister Li covered their side wings, and I went straight to the core. Fight! The battle exploded, and the guards rushed in, and the first giant claw hit the top of the car, the steel twisted, and sparked 4 times. Xia Ting roared, "Beast! I thank you, let's go to the end." He danced wildly with his sword, and his huge beast back was on his back. The blade was diamond into the armor, and the blue blood stormed like a spring. The monster shook his body. He fell to the ground, and his arms were newly injured and bleeding. These kingly level, the crystal core is double. Lei, hurry. Lei approached the base of the tower, and the tool was connected to the crystal edge. The arc was staggering, and the sweat evaporated like a fog. Alien technology, rune locks, cracking. Wei, the energy field is weak at the north side, cut it off, the core is exposed. Her fingers were flying, the blue light sucked back, and the skin was burning and painful, gritting her teeth. It's done. The northern wall twitches, the field force is reduced in half. The energy field was shaking, the black fog disappeared, the monster group was exposed, and the red eyes were flashing. Shihui seized the opportunity. AI, full power activation. Generate a destructive airflow vortex, locking the guardian group. The system buzzed like a thunderbolt. Her blue flames exploded all over her body, and her relatives were full of harmony. The wind blade gun changed and fused into AI to form a giant storm gun. The energy is super high, and the air is twisted into a whirlpool. The blue dragon rolls straight into the nest, with a range of 50 meters, and the wind is like a sturdy blade. The guardian first took the lead, and the first giant beast was rolled in. The shell was shattered like glass, the limbs were torn, and the blue blood fog exploded. Hundreds of monsters were like falling leaves, most of which twitched and fell to the ground. The mourning numbers were like ghosts crying. The ground pit was filled with blood pools, and the burnt smell spread across the wilderness. The team was stunned, and Kai glared, "Queen! This whirlpool, the Monster King is soaked." Xia Ting laughed, and the blood beads on the knife flew. "Demedience. Head, you have to kneel down forever." Yinghui gasped, afraid that she would turn into strength, and the queen's aura was burning like a blue flame. "It's not over yet. Xia Ting, protect me from the core. Lui, sealing is ready." The remaining guards were violent, with two heads swept, their tails sucking air like whips, and their winds were shocking. Xia Ting held a head, and the sword cracked the spark. "Come on. I'm going to protect my team." His body pricked his abdomen, and the monster roared over him. His claws pressed his chest, and his clothes were stained with blood. Sister Li led the gun to rescue, and Ziwei's eyes were diamond. "Brother Ting, hold on." The storm gun swept the second head, the blade cut off its tail, and the monster screamed. She pushed the pedestal. "Li, inject it." Li knelt on the ground, and the crystal core module connected to the cracks. Reverse energy preparation. "Yinghui, inject your brilliance." Yinghui pressed the base with his hand, and the blue light penetrated into the crystal. Fearing that it was like a tide, this thing swallowed the sun, and it backed down. But the team's roaring sounds, Xi Ting's blood, Li's cracking, Kai's iron tube. She gritted her teeth. "Seal." The cracks exploded, the crystals trembled, the blue light teared open like a crack, the energy waves reversed, and the tower swayed and cracked. The guardian finally came, his red eyes locked in his wise mind, and his claws were like a mountain of pressure. She was afraid of collapse in her heart and turned into a determination. She was no longer a victim, I was the endorser. The storm shot all the gun, and the air blade pierced the crystal core. The monster froze and the body smashed the deep pit of the ground. The crystals are shattering, the anti-energy spreads like a tide, the black fog fades, and the blue light cracks expand. Far from the sky, there is gray-white light, and the sun's remaining leaves are like new life. The climax ends, the nest collapses, and the team breathes and withdraws. Yinghui leaned against the rock wall. Xia Ting climbed up, his arms were damaged and he laughed. "Head, I won. Eternal night is retreating." Lei hugged the tool, her eyes were wet, the seal was successful. The alien core was broken, and the energy field collapsed. Kai and the others shouted, and Wang Er knelt down and thanked, "Queen, I saved my sister, and everyone." Yinghui stood up, looking at the light of the sky, and her inner soul changed like the dawn. "I am afraid that it will be resolved, from the queen to the end, halfway through this road." Returning to New York, AI reported, the local eternal night has subsided, and the sun has recovered by 10%. Human signals have surged, and the surrounding forces have asked for alliances. The blue light reflected on his face, and everyone surrounded him. Sister Li Duanshui said, "Head, it's a little brighter outside. Hope, rekind." Yinghui pointed at the head, and the light in the wind was heavy, but the deeper roots still rose, indicating that the final reconstruction still needed a battle. Yinghui rode down from the outpost car, stepped on the alloy ground of the New York City, and made a crisp sound of the slightest. The blue light projection was still flashing in her brain, and the 10% sun rest made her heart slightly swell, but the low roar at the far source was like a thunderous rifle, reminding her that this was just the beginning. The New York City is extremely popular, with more than 300 people busy. The green waves of the farmland are rolling, the resource database is indefinitely buzzing, the new ally Xiaomin and others unload the mechanical parts of the port, and the air is filled with the smell of soil and metal. Sister Li brought a bowl of hot soup, and the salty smelled sniffed. "Head, is it light up outside?" "The monster tide has faded, everyone said that you have smashed the source, and the queen's name has been fulfilled. Yinghui smiled, took the soup bowl, and the hot swept hand warmed the heart. It's bright, but it's not interrupted. AI scanned deeper, the general nest, the alien energy core is there, like the heart of eternal night. The Black Wolf Party is also hot, and the 50-year-old man has joined forces with the last Monster King, wanting to fight back. Xia Ting walked over, his arm was covered with a medical capsule, and his sword shook his waist. Head, I take the elite team to clear the party first. Those arrogant ghosts think they are holding monsters' thighs and flip the plate. I'm grateful, I've been bloody so many times, and I've been eating their resources early. Lui pulled out of the console, her backpack was bulging, and her eyes were shiny, me and I. After AI upgrade, it can generate a global purification module. Weird, harmonious, and once the sealed core is hit, the air can be permanently purified and the sun will come back. When the Shui points his head, a stream of heat that is certainly like a blue flame creeps in his heart, from the loneliness when the trajectory falls to the current 300 people leading the source. This road is covered with blood and frost, but every step is worth it. The whole team is moving. Xia Ting, Qing Feng Party, Lu Yi, Optimize AI, Akai, Sisterly, Zhao Min, Wang Er, the core team follows me to the top nest. New Zealand stays with Chin Shou, covers the alliance around the whole network, and monitors the entire network. Everyone is in harmony, his steps are in a messy and orderly manner. New Zealand is jumping like a steel iron heart. Yinghui looked at the grey-white light beside the sky, and said in a whisper, Eternal night, you swallowed the world, I'm coming back. The battle of the Qing dynasty exploded in the southwest ruins, like a short storm. Xia Ting took 50 elites to ride motorcycles and stormed the Black Wolf's nest, a pile of collapsed warehouses, hiding heavy artillery and monsters to join forces. The wind and sand are covered with fog, and the shadows are swaying in the mist. Black Wolf's deputy, a slut full of facial scars, carried the rocket launcher and yelled, Queen! Ha! She smashed the small nest. I met with the Monster King. The artillery fire broke out and swallowed the new year. But Xia Ting laughed, and the sword flashed, arrogant ghost, last time your boss knelt down and begged for you this time. The elite team was like a pack of wolves. Kai's iron tube smashed the cannon barrel, Sisterly shot a gun, Xiaomin's robot threw thunder, and the explosion of fire shone on the night sky. The monster's roar was shocking, the medium-sized anomalies had an erratic chorus, and the blue blood was sprayed like rain, sticking to Xia Ting's face warmly. He snatched up, and a knife cut his throat, and the blood fountain sprayed, for the head. These beasts, the Monster King is nothing. Before Wang Er committed suicide, the information was accurate, and the enemy's pharmacy was detonated. The warehouse collapsed and the tragedy of the slaughtered everywhere. The battle ended quickly and all resources were collected. Xia Ting gasped, Head, it's done. The Black Wolf line is blocked, and the Monster King is isolated and helpless. The tight integration. The core team has set off, and the outpost car and motorcycle are running wildly in the wilderness. The black fog is as thick as ink, the wheels are trapped in cracks, and the engine is buzzing like heartbeats. The head of the town, the AI blue frame locks the nest, distance is 5 kilometers. Energy core, the alien experiment remains, the purpose of the experiment is to distort the magnetic field, swallow the sun's energy, and create eternal night. The alien race wants to colonize the Earth, but it is out of control. Guardian, the Monster King is the head, the elite group is the head. The crisis is extremely high, but the weakness is exposed, the core base, injected into the global purification spiral, can be permanently sealed. Lui danced with her fingers, and the optimization module, Yinghui, AI connects the global network. Once the purification is opened, the air circulation of the entire Earth is circulating, and the monster's ecology collapses. The nest is reflected in the eyes, a giant alien tower, the crystal pedestal is moving blue light, like a living heart, energy waves distort the air, swallowing all light sources. The surrounding Monster King appeared, a big, 10-meter-high object, with armor like blue steel, red eyes like a sea of blood, and the roar made the ground crack and deep pit break. Hundreds of elite beasts, the minions and teeth flashed and the electric arc, and the fishy and hot waves were swollen. Invader! Destroy my experience and die. The Monster King roared, the energy field exploded, the black fog was like a tide, the poisonous air swelled, and the vision was blurred. Go! Yinghui roared, the wind blade gun fused to AI, the blue flame exploded, and the whole team shield wrapped around her body. Xia Ting joined forces and danced wildly with his sword. Head, I will beat the king. Brothers, clear the elite. The elite team rushed on. Kai's iron tube smashed a claw, Sister Li's gun was blazing, Zhao Min threw thunder, Wang Er's story navigation, the weak point is on the side. The flesh and blood were flying, the blue blood was like rain, and the sad number was roaring and sound was deafening. The Monster King's tail swept over, his wind was as stressed as a mountain. Xia Ting held his body with his sword cracked the spark, and the rock flew behind him, and the blood roared in his mouth. Hold on. Head, go straight to the core. The brain of Yinghui was afraid of being like a black fog, this thing destroyed the world, swallowed the sun, and failed. But the blood of the team made her grit her teeth, and the inner soul changed like a blue light to pierce the darkness. I am not the victim, I am the endorser. She rushed up, and the storm gun was full power, and the air blade vortex swept into the elite group. 100 monsters torn apart like fallen leaves, the shells shattered, and the crystal nucleus exploded and the burnt smell spread. The Monster King angrily snatched her claws down. He knew that he would avoid it. The gun stabbed the armor straight. Go to die, alien ghost things. The blue blood stormed her like a spring. The Monster King roared over her, burning her body with hot blood, but she stabbed her backwards, and the air blade dripped into the base. Li is approaching, and the tool connects the crystal. Yinghui, impulse inject. Global purification, opening. Yinghui presses the base with his hand, and the AI is super buzzing, his whole body is like a blue flame burning, his harmony is full of energy, and the energy flows into the core like a tide. Seal. The crystals explode, the crystals tremble like an earthquake, and the blue light tear opens like a silk, and the anti-energy waves turn around the world. The tower collapsed, the Monster King twitched and fell to the ground, his red eyes dimmed, and his body smashed out of a huge pit, and the waves trembled in the wilderness. The black fog fades like a tide, and the gray-white light in the sky bursts out, the sun's light appears, gold is like new life, falling on the earth, warmth enters the skin, and disperses the cold of the eternal night. Yinghui knelt on the ground while breathing, the storm subsided, and the warmth in her body felt like she was hugging. It was great. This retrograde is like the sun, from the iron coffin of the spacecraft to the alien core that finally ends with her hands, and she becomes the queen of Doomsday. The truth is revealed, eternal night is an alien experiment that is out of control, and humans are not victims, but counterattacks. AI announced, global purification is starting. The air circulation is permanent, monsters' ecology collapses, and the sun recovers by 80%. The new era is starting. On the team, Xia Ting got up, stained his clothes with blood and smiled. Head, you hit Yongye with one gun. Xia Ting, this is worth it. Lui hugged her and sweated. Yinghui, my dream has come true. The system not only saves the fortress, but also saves the world. Kai, Sister Li, Zhao Min, Wang Er and others shouted. The iron pipe gun was high, and the bloody face reflected the golden light. Returning to New York, news of the revival of the world's light is like wildfires, and the surrounding area is full of efforts. The survivors of old warehouses, ports, and mines gather, and New York has become a reconstruction center. At the top of the blue tower, Yinghui stood still, looking at the sun falling into the green fields. Her heart was filled with warm sunshine, from lonely survival, a screwdriver, to protecting all people and establishing a new order alliance. This growth is not a pile of strength, but a change of the heart from the absolute hope. Xia Ting and Lui assisted the people. The former was on the verge of military affairs, while the latter optimized technology. Alliances such as internet organizations opened, and humans regained tools and seeds and rebuilt their homes. On a night of celebration, the New Year's lights are bright, the crop banquet is hot, and the laughter is mixed with the gurgling water. Xiao Ming came back and said, "Sister, the sun is back. You are the queen." Shihui picked him up and looked at everyone. "It's not me, it's us. Eternal night teaches me, loneliness begins, and the group is eternal. In the new era, we build a garden together, green fields, fortresses, and people under the sun." Xia Ting held a cup, "For the queen, for the new order." Lui smiled, "For the growth, for hope. The light shines everywhere, the earth wakes up, and the monsters go away. The new human world starts with the blue light of wisdom and never ends."